Okay, so I've been working quite hard this week on getting everything wrapped up. So the goal right now, assuming all the playtesting and all the changes and everything holds, the goal is to have everything wrapped up by the end of next week, which is December 20th, delivering the final PDFs on December 20th, going deep on final edits, typos, and that kind of stuff. And then today I'm working on making sure the GM guide is content complete. So there might still be some like small little tweaks and things. I'm just pushing some dice around on my table. So there might be some small tweaks and like little things, but the GM guide is going to be content complete. So what I'm doing today is I'm looking at different resources that have been big inspirations to me, both to recommend to people. So here's the Mothership one. Here's Into the Odd. I've got Mouse Ritter, some other books. So like, what other advice would be helpful for the GM's guide? So I want to list that advice. I've got where is it? I've got it. I've got it here somewhere. Here it is. I'm always looking for it. I'm always looking for. So this one, the lazy DM. It used to be lazy. It's Lazy Dungeon Master. It used to be, now it's like Lazy GM or whatever. So I'm always looking for it on the spine, so there's no spine. So I've got a bunch of different books and things together today. So I'm going to be working on that. I've also got, so let me tell you what's on the calendar. So also on the calendar, so I've got final GM notes and table of contents for the GM guide. Hopefully I'll have that done today. I plan on doing a monster balance deep dive, just sort of like a sanity check before everything is published to make sure all the balance is where it's expected. I've got to finish some of the adventure maps. So a lot of the adventures I'll show you guys in a sec. A lot of the adventures ended up filling. So like initially, just to sort of show you, it's like initially I was planning on having like one adventure per spread, like a one shot, like one adventure per spread. Maybe like this book would be easier to show you. So like the content, like the content adventure is one whole spread, and like the bottom maybe quarter or bottom half of one page, it would be the map. Some of the adventures end up filling up the whole spread, so I'm thinking of maybe having like a separate map. I don't know exactly how we're gonna do this, at least digitally. The map you could print out yourself, but like this is one of JP Couvert's cool maps. So maybe like a separate map that you could just like stick out on the table for your players. I think that kind of thing might be cool. Obviously, it would cost more to print. It's not really going to take any longer, but it'll cost more to print. I think we can just go and eat that cost, but I want it to be as usable as playable as possible. I don't want this to just be something that sits on the shelf. So I want this to be as usable and as easy to play as possible. So I've got to finish some of the adventure maps. I've got on my docket to finish the witch class. So I just recently saw update on the witch class, and then also we're going to be going over some of the feedback, the final feedback on Discord. I've got some more playtesting. I think it's going to be private playtesting tomorrow. This coming Friday evening. So we're doing some more final playtesting and stuff in the back end. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do any more public playtesting on Discord. I might. That might be what next week is. But rest assured, we're doing plenty of playtesting, and I'm gathering a lot of feedback from other groups that are playtesting as well. And the comments that are coming back are smaller and smaller and smaller, and much more positive as well. So I've got a list of things that I want to include in the GM guide. Not the least of which is any more GM notes and table of contents. So let's go back to the desktop. So we'll go here, not that. So one thing, I've got this open twice. So one thing that I want to include, how much gold per level. So I've got the third-party creators license. Let me go ahead and show you guys that. So I think this is what we're going to go with. I made one small update. So this is sort of a combination. I really respect a lot of what MCDM does. Matt Colville, he'll sort of just like gives stuff away and like leaves it as open as possible. So their RPG, the MCDM RPG, Draw Steel, their test license was basically do whatever you want. And I really respect that a lot. I think we're gonna do that. So they did that with just like a small playtest packet. So we don't know exactly what the Draw Steel license is going to end up looking like, but I think we could do something like that. The Shadowdark license I took inspiration from the Shadowdark license as well. Sort of, do whatever you want within these certain little constraints, as long as you don't, claim. Like you can say compatibility and stuff, but just don't claim we endorse it. So basically, by adhering to these terms, you create and publish original works based on and or declare compatibility with Nimble without prior approval from NimbleCo, me, and retain all profits from work. So I don't want your money. If you're making stuff, make whatever you want. You don't need to, obviously. You can use and reference this book's text in your original products. For instance, your own adventures, classes, subclasses, monsters, supplements. And so I did add this little caveat here. Publishing large portions of text verbatim while adding no or minimal value does not qualify as your own original project or product. So I want people to be able to freely use any of the content in the books for their own projects without someone just like reposting all of the content of the books without like having their own original product. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't know if that's clear enough or like I don't really want to add any more restrictions other than that, I think. Um, but basically that's it. Like use anything in any of the books however you want, other than just like republishing them verbatim online without adding anything to it. I think that's pretty reasonable. I think that's about that's essentially wide open. Again, it's still draft. I'm waiting on a little bit of feedback for that, but we do have the third party creators license. It's not limited to just monsters and spells and certain things. It's you use whatever you want. It's basically as open as I think it can be. Um, okay, so what we're doing right now is let's go to the GM guide. So I've got a long list of things that I want to include in the GM guide, but I want to see if there's any other additional tips or anything that we have in some of these other books. Check out the chat real quick. Bruno says, "Hey, will the lodging boons ever make a return?" Yes, I think we have space for that. I think we definitely have space for that, and I think it's still actually. I think I have it. I've got the beginning of the table of contents here. Got to do some layout stuff. I think it's in here somewhere still. But yes, I think that will see a return, and we're at like 109 pages. And that's with a couple of pages, a couple of spreads not yet implemented. So if we add, let's go ahead and add, duplicate spread, and we'll duplicate spread again, duplicate spread. So it's going to be so that it's going to, so we have basically four to six additional pages of content that we can still fit in, and then we have a little bit more space in the first adventure. So and we have sort of like 5 to 7 pages of 5 to 8 pages, 6 to 8 pages of space that we can add different things. So lodging boons, gold recommendations, different tips and things on how to run adventures. I added a few more monsters, a few more legendary monsters, that kind of stuff. So let's take a look. I've heard good things about the. Here it is. I put it over here. I heard really good things about the Mothership GM guide, the Warden's Operation Manual. So I've never taken a look at it, other than just like I've gotten this far. So we're gonna take a look at that. Real quick, will the Legend Moons ever make a return? Yes. Is the map ready? The map is like 98% ready. I sent a final round of notes back to Kyle Cox, the artist. I may make some final revisions and additions and tweaks, but it's like 90% ready, somewhere around there. If you have somebody in the stream, you explain the marked entries in the doc. Yep, definitely can. Just remind me if I forget. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, I think that's it. All right, so let's go to the desk view. Bam. We'll take a look at the mothership thing. So a lot of this has to do with like this specific system. A lot of the GM advice has to do with this specific system, so it's not going to be like particularly appropriate for like an adventure, like high fantasy heroic thing. And this is like sci-fi horror related. So we'll see. Preparing to play a game of Mothership with your friends, family, strangers can feel like a daunting task. Oh, what do you need to prepare? How do you know when you're finished, and how can you guarantee that all that hard work pays off? I like that. The short answer to all these questions is to remember that most likely you've been playing games of imagination. Okay, you can do this. Okay, so like a little bit of encouragement. We already have that sort of stuff. Like, hey, GMing isn't that hard. So this is sort of my own take on that kind of thing. I think that kind of thing is. Oh, you guys can't see what I see. Like that. So this is what we have here. Like GMing is hard to say, but it's not that hard to do. So we've got that sort of encouragement here already. Let's keep cooking. Long answer you need a. The long answer is that you learn more from playing than you do from prepping. So let's get to work. Get organized. All right. Invite your friends to play. Read the rule book. Just okay. So I do like this. If you're strapped for time, just skim the character sheet and the cheat sheet on the back of the book. The player survival guide. Let's take a look at the player survival guide. Okay. So if it says to start there, let's go ahead and start there. Player survival guide. So we are short on time. So like cool art. How to play Mothership. I do like this idea of having a cheat sheet. I'm thinking of doing something similar, just including in the box set if you have the box set, and then digitally if you have the regular books and all of that. Stat checks roll D100 less than your strength, speed, intellect, or combat to accomplish a task. So it's a roll under system, okay. Otherwise fail and gain 1 stress. Ooh, I like stress as a concept. A roll of 90 to 99 is always considered a failure. Okay. I personally have a hard time wrapping my mind around roll under systems because like big numbers better, right? But that's okay. I could probably get used to it. At least I understand that that's what the system is. Saves, roll 1d100 less than your sanity, fear, or body to avoid danger. Otherwise fail. Okay, so you're rolling to accomplish a task. This is to roll to avoid danger. I do like that. So there's like a skill check. This is a save. Otherwise fail in game. Okay, panic checks. So like this is me reading the quick start guide, not knowing how to play at all. And I'm getting a sense of how to play. Panic checks when the worst has happened. Oh, I like that. To avoid panicking, roll the panic die. Here, let me move the little stand so it when I touch the desk, it's not shaking. Move this just a little bit so that when I touch the desk, now maybe the camera doesn't shake as much. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Roll the panic die 1d20 greater than the character's current stress. Okay, so you're rolling greater. Roll the panic die d20 greater than the stress. Okay, so rolling low is sometimes good. Rolling high is sometimes good. Skills of a character. Okay, so we don't need to know everything about this, but I do want to add. Let's go ahead and add this. What would we? Let me scooch this over so you guys can see it a little bit better. What would we include? What would a nimble? What would a nimble quick start guide have? Good question. Hey, Josh. Okay, violence. I like that violence is heading of its own. As advantage, disadvantage, criticals, violence, damage and wounds, armor and cover, death, range. It can touch you. Okay, so there's 1 meter or 3 feet spaces basically in this game. And that's kind of cool. Adjacent, close range, long range, extreme range. I do like that. That's much more clear than what is it in Shadowdark? In Shadowdark, it's something like super confusing, at least to me. Where's range? Yeah, close, near, and far. Like close and near both sound basically equivalent. So I think in Nimble we have like close, mid-range, and far, or something like that. But this one is more clear. Adjacent, close range, long range, extreme range. I don't know if we need 4 different things, but okay, I like that. I have a rough idea. If someone wanted a GM Mothership for me, I'd be able to sort of figure it out. Okay, read the rule book. We skimmed the quick start thing. The actual rules are written as written, are easy to use and not the most important part of the game. That's cool to know. I find roll under systems, Vice. Take care, Edward. Vice says, I find roll under systems just needs some different language to make it feel more intuitive. Your blade finds a vulnerability, roll under, versus your blade pierces through armor. Roll. Yeah, or like who is rolling might matter. Like if the GM is rolling this thing, like the players like want it to roll low, right? So that makes sense. Where if the player's rolling, they want it to roll high. So I. Uh-oh, did I lose audio? Test. Okay, no, we're good. Okay, so let's go back to the test. So I really like this. The rules are not the most important part of the game. So that's an interesting thing. I don't think we could say that about Nimble strictly, but for the players at least. But for the GM, like knowing, have I ever looked at Dragonbane? No. I've heard Dragonbane. Dragonbane's a roll under system. Okay, I've heard the name Dragonbane enough to where I'm interested in looking into it. Maybe I'll have to add it to my list of things to buy. Okay, forgot what I was saying. Pretty solid. Cool. Choose a starting scenario for your first session. You should throw your players into a bad situation and then make it worse. Okay, so like how to think about the game. So like this would not be the advice for Nimble. It would be throw your players into a fun situation and make them feel heroic, right? So that is how I would phrase that. But like that is good, and that is like really good advice. Throw your play. Throw. And it's not your players. Throw the heroes. So throw the heroes into a fun situation and make them feel heroic. Okay, so that is much more the vibe of Nimble, but I do really like that. So we're setting the scene for Mothership, and Nimble should set the scene for Nimble, right? Economic horror, poor working conditions, a standoff between powerful factions. All of these provide a tension that's ready to explode by the time you add the horror. Okay, and then it says, see, for more about this, more about that, each has its own thing. Okay, that's kind of cool. What's going on here? So this is just like scenario, undertake a dangerous mission, something. Okay, so it's just like what someone's session notes might look like. I'm not gonna read all that. Step 5, find the horror. Start with something that makes your skin crawl and build from there. Like, I don't like scary things personally. I don't like them. A good horror includes transgression that awakens it, omens of its arrival. Okay, so the inciting incident, we have foreshadowing, its appearance or manifestation, like a climax, a way for the players to defeat the horror through some kind of banishment, and finally, the effects the horror has as it slumbers awaiting. Okay, and then like the aftermath. Yeah, so we've already got a lot of those elements there. We obviously call them different things, so we do recommend having foreshadowing and some like starting in the middle of the action, and then different things like that. Something to survive. Once you've found your horror, next thing you to create is a dilemma or a series of obstacles. Okay, yeah. So a lot of this is already like what should be included in an adventure, like the adventure framework here. So we've got that already. Something to solve. So like puzzles and things. Someone to save. Map it out. Okay. Okay. So cool. So what is this? If this is your player's first time playing Mothership, they'll want to sample the best that the game has to offer. For your first note, you want something that's quick, easy, and classic. Okay, that is good. That is good advice. You don't want to be subverting expectations. You don't want to be doing like, oh, the goblins are good and the people are bad. Like there's plenty of time for that kind of stuff. Like the moral gray area. Like you like the first time like I played D&D, I wanted to like kill some goblins and I wanted to like so that kind of stuff. Like for a first scenario, you do want something that's classic, like classic. That is very very good advice. And then there's some different ideas here. Setting. So where's the space station? So like the first man, that is cool art. That is cool art. I really like that. Okay. So some examples of these different things. Something to survive. Something to solve. Create compelling answers. Ooh, I like this. So this is good. This is good advice here. Create interesting puzzles. So I just saw this and immediately I want to read this page. Just show the lock before the key. So, so you want players to hit a blocked path before they find the key for it. This way they know to look for the key. Backtracking to unlock previously blocked paths is usually fulfilling an investigation game. Okay. So let's go to, so we're using that kind of thing in a sort of slightly different sense. So for the heroes, so for a lot of the heroes, they have they get this thing. Um, at level 3, let me see if you guys can. So level 3, the Zephyr gets kinetic momentum. Whenever you would gain a wound, gain a burst of speed. Okay, so the Zephyr, they can like gain wounds in order to get this cool reward, right? And then it's not until the next level that they get this thing. Ignore the first wound you would suffer each encounter. So you sort of create this problem, right? And then as you level up, you get solutions to those problems. And every class, or pretty much every class, has that kind of thing. The commander, as they get their coordinated strike, and then as they level up, that gets better. Like you ignore disadvantage, and you do different things, and it sort of builds on itself. So that kind of thinking is really cool in an RPG, not just with the heroes, but with adventure design as well. Many names are the same thing. A neat trick is to call something or someone by 2 or 3 different names. Player assumes that these are different. These are separate entities, and fill in their own backstories for them later when they realize that these are one and the same. They can. That's so cool. So letting them connect the dots. Let them connect the dots they couldn't see before. That kind of thing is really cool. So if you treat even for like a heroic type of thing, what am I? Heroic adventure. um, it's really cool to treat each one shot or each session as like a sort of a mystery, even if it's not like a Sherlock Holmes type of mystery. There's some quest maybe we don't know why we're on the quest or what they're sending us for, but as you play through the adventure, you start to get answers to these questions, right? So it's really cool for the beginning of a quest to raise questions, and then the end of the quest to provide the answers, or you're able to figure out the answers. That kind of thing is really really cool, and it's really nice to see it put to words like this. Answers lead to new questions. Yes, I love finding loot and things during an adventure that can lead to more adventures. Like, oh, here's this golden scarf that is like 9 meters long. Like, what thing could wear a golden scarf, and why would it need to be 9 meters long? Like, someone must be looking for this. I wonder who this belongs to. So like finding cool items that can lead to other quests is really really neat. Every clue points to a lead, something else the player should investigate. It needs to be something concrete, a person, place, or thing of interest to the investigation. Yes. So it can't just be like figure something out. It needs to be like find that guy, because like people will flounder if it's not clear enough exactly what they should be doing. More clues than you think you need? Yes, absolutely. When prepping, put plenty of clues in each location, then discover more with your players during play. Mix up the types of evidence and the leads they generate so it doesn't all feel the same. Yes, 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 yes. Reveal facts, not conclusions. Good answers don't spell things out for the players, but instead leave the information there for the players to put together on their own. Yes, but you need to be way more clear than you think. Like there's something called the curse of knowledge. I've got a book up here. I think it's called Made to Stick. There's something called by the Heath brothers. If you ever want to look that up, it's sort of like a business book. But there's something called the curse of knowledge that you, as the adventure designer, you as a GM, you know how all the dots fit together, but your players, like, they just got here, like they just showed up, and they don't have all the context that you have, and like, so it needs to be way more clear a lot of times than you would think, and you need to have way less complexity than you might otherwise you might otherwise think. So I really like about this one, more clues than you think you need. I really like Mike Shea's take on this. So what does Mike Shea do? And I've sort of adapted some of these things. I think that the most important part of this book is chapter 6, secrets and clues. Secrets and clues. Let's go ahead and go to page 20. It's like, yeah, review the characters, creating a strong start. Like, yeah, you don't want to like start super slow. Like, yeah, all of that like is really important. But I think the coolest thing of this is this right here. So I think Mike Shea's eternal contribution to the TTRPG scene, and maybe someone else came up with this as well, whatever. But this is sort of what he's famous for, at least I think. Abstract from people, places, and things. During game preparation, you don't tie secrets and clues to the people, places, or things where they might be discovered. You don't worry about how the characters will uncover a secret or clue. This is a critical component to the idea of secrets and clues and part of the whole idea of prepping to improvise. Okay, so let's actually keep reading because he goes more deep. A specific secret or clue should never need to come from one particular NPC's mouth. Like, yeah, so like this NPC knows this thing, and she's the only one who knows this. Like, no, well, what if they kill her? What if they fight her and kill her and never talk to her? Or what if they say like, oh no, she looks she looks sketchy. I don't trust anything she says. Then they never get that clue. You can't continue. Or they just go a completely different direction. They never even meet her, right? So abstracting the secrets and clues, like the things that they can learn from the situation itself, or from specific people or locations, is an incredibly important part of like flexible adventure design. Like if they never go into that room and look under the bed, then they'll never find that clue, right? So it's saying the same kind of thing that this is saying, but I think Mike Shea says it a little bit better. Yes, you need more clues than you might think, but if the clues are sort of divorced from where they have to come from, it's much better. So let me show you real quick how this looks in some of the Nimble adventures. So let's go down to the GM guide. Let's go down to the GM guide. Let's go to which of the adventures has something like this. Okay, so here's one. So like here's some rumors. Here's some things. So like here's some rumors here. Let me see if you guys can see this. So here's some rumors, and it doesn't really say. It doesn't really say like, this person knows this and this person knows that. It just sort of gives information. It just gives information in general. And then like you might learn some of this information from this guy. You might learn some of that information from someone else. Like it doesn't say who you learn this stuff from. It just says, here's what's going on. You can sort of place those clues and those secrets and different things wherever you like. So that is how a lot of the adventures are written. So secrets and clues, amazing. Bruno says, I love horror games. The trilogy official adventures for Free League's Alien is one of the best written adventures I've ever had the pleasure of playing. Oh, interesting. Specifically the first one, Chariot of the Gods, amazing stuff. I have that here. I've got the Alien thing here. I might have to take a look at that. Okay, so let's go back to the desk. Here we go. Types of evidence. Okay. So this is very much investigatory in its feeling, and that's a cool thing to learn about Mothership. The basic framework of an investigation is simple. The players look for clues which help them solve the mystery. If they don't find the right clues and make the right deductions fast enough, things get worse. The keys to running a gripping investigation is to have a plan for how things escalate if the players fail to solve things in time. Investigation games fail when the warden or the GM feels like they have to drop hints or keep the players on track. That's not your job. Your job is to ask interesting questions and to create compelling consequences. Okay. So start by outlining the 3 escalating events that could happen if the players don't solve things in time. So Mike Shea says some very similar things. So you're going to outline potential scenes. Okay, so we're gonna have a scene here, a scene there, a scene. So we're gonna have like 3 or 4 scenes, and maybe we don't know exactly when those scenes are gonna happen, or what is going to cause the players to get to those scenes, or maybe they don't actually arrive at every scene. Maybe they spend twice as much time at scene 1 and they don't have time for scene 3. Most of these books on GMing and RPGs and stuff, they have much of the same advice presented in different ways, or presented from like a different perspective. Start by outlining 3 escalating events that could happen if the players don't solve things in time. Then put each of those events on a timeline. It could be hours, days, months, or years. The point is, with these escalating events, the players are free to make mistakes, miss clues, or follow bad leads without you worrying about them getting off course. Yeah. So letting whatever happens. Whatever the players decide to do is what happens, rather than like, oh no, actually you need to go here. Okay, someone to save, creating useful characters, how to draw a map, how to key a map. All that is good to know. Talking all that, something for everyone, themes. Let's read this something for everyone. Every warden has their favorite playstyle: combat, investigation, social, deduction, exploration, etc. And tends to favor one class over the other. To counter that, it's a good idea to go through all the classes and make sure you've included something for everyone. Marines are killing machines. Androids can go where humans. Oh, that's cool. Scientists, the smartest in the room. Teamsters, build, repair. Teamsters, pilot and drive. I don't know how I feel. I don't know if I like the name of that, but like Marines, cool. Androids, awesome. Scientists, kind of cool. Teamsters, I don't know. Themes, when am I ready? When the players show up, you're ready. That's true. That's funny. Character creation, explaining what a role-playing game is. I don't think we need to get into a lot of these things. A whole lot. All right, so let's see if there's anything else in here that we want to. Setting the stakes. Resolving the action. So I do like this. So maybe we should have a section on making your own house rules. Let's go back to here. Make it your own. Making house rules. That should probably be its own section. That should probably there should be at least some information about that. Making mistakes. Yeah. Let's see if there's anything else running investigation. So a lot about investigations, building a campaign frames. So without like just going word for word, the warden's operation, the GM guide for Mothership looks like it is worth its weight in gold. So if you are a GM, I would highly recommend you buy this and read it through. Yeah, so how much should a job pay? Like, what are the good rewards? Hazard pay, that's funny. So it's like salary, negotiating better rates. Like, all of this is kind of cool. All of this is really cool. Debt, debt, saving money, that's so cool. What if they get rich? Okay, so that's cool. Big money attracts big predators. Suddenly gaining a huge windfall paints the targets on the player's back. Piracy becomes a bigger issue. Corrupt customs inspectors constantly badger players for bribes. Oh, like this is so cool. I've never heard this kind of advice for like a D&D style system. Yeah. So, ooh. my brain is flowing with ideas. Want to do with lots of money. Yeah, that is a perennial problem with 5e. Is there any advice in the GM guide for giving out rewards per level? Yeah, so that is one of the so that's one of the things that we're. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep, great question. Definitely will make sure that's in there. Enemies choose this moment to form alliances, move against you. Once the players amass wealth, desperate allies hit up the players in need of emergency funding. That's funny. Family members and friends become targets for kidnap and ransom. Oh, such good ideas. Yeah, I mean, just imagine like you won the lottery or like you got some big inheritance. What happens in your life? Okay. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of things. Ooh, we can fill the screen a little bit better. What happens in your life? Yeah, Pete. Old high school friends come out asking for money. Old money hates new money. Oh, I love this. Being rich in an exclusive club that doesn't accept new members easily. Players who suddenly find themselves with a large influx of credits aren't likely to be welcome in high society. It's okay to retire. Oh man, how cool. Every one of these ideas is like 10 out of 10, like really cool ideas. Altering the difficulty. Skills are a wish list. Oh man, that is some of the best advice. That's such good advice. Such good advice. Skills are a wish list. So I've always said that kind of thing, but I've never had words to put to it like that. If someone puts all of their skills in like animal handling, like they want some animals to talk to and train it and calm, and you better put some animals in their path that they can handle, right? If someone puts a bunch of points into lore, you better give them some facts and some knowledge and some cool stuff for them to learn, right? If someone puts points in stealth, you better put some blind guards they can stealth past and feel really good about. So yes, skills are a wish list. Yes. 100 times yes. I love having like concepts like that in my head, and then finding words to put to be able to make those ideas concrete. Altering the difficulty. Yep. New skills. I don't think we're gonna worry about that. Your campaign notebook. Stick to the fringe. That's cool. Character advancement. Keeping track of time, published modules. I'm not going to worry about a lot of those things. Horror subgenres. What if they run away? Usually players instinctively run away at the first sign of trouble. That's super common. They're getting caught up in the horror, which is great, and reacting naturally, which is also great. Don't shut them down. Instead, just talk to them and encourage them to think through their options. If you're playing a one-shot, be honest and say, this is what I have prepared tonight. Yeah, no, I've got the same kind of advice in the GM guide there for Nimble. There's definitely a way to beat this scenario, so regroup, get your bearings straight. That's an interesting way to say it. So let's see how do we say it in Nimble? What if they ... Yes, sometimes your players will try to go so far off the adventure path that you don't know what to do. Be honest, and feel free to say, "Hey, I'm new at this." As your players, just stick to the story you've got prepared for now. In time, you may be able to let them wander off and do anything their little hearts can imagine. But for now, let's play the adventure that's at hand. Yeah, so that kind of advice, it like really just sets GMs at ease. Like you don't have to know everything before you get started. What if they run away? If you're playing one shot, if you're playing a larger game, let them run away. The ability to gauge risk and then bail out is an important one if they plan to survive long term. Let them retreat, but then let the natural consequences follow. The horror takes more innocent lives to grow stronger. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so let the natural consequences follow. The horror gets stronger. They can only run away for so long before their cowardice catches up with them. Ooh, yeah. Love that. Heroes don't want to be called cowards. Finding inspiration. Read widely from a lot of different media. Steal liberally from current events. Yeah. This is scary enough. Recommend media. There we go. Okay. So really, really good. Cool. Telling a good story. Story only happens in retrospect. That's funny. Planets factions. Okay. So some really good stuff in Mothership. Let's take a look at Into the Odd. Into the Odd is sort of like all of the weird new RPGs is from Chris McDowell. A lot of them take a lot of inspiration from Into the Odd, and only 2022. I thought it was much older than that. Maybe this is just the reprint. Let's go to, I think there is like a chapter 8, page 42, refereeing. Page 42. I think there's a lot of like really good GM advice in this one, if I recall. Page 42. I really like the layout and design of this. Like it's really light and clean. I'm going for more of like information sort of crammed in there, so it's like I can see like 4 pages worth of content just on 2 pages. Refereeing. A good referee presents the players with interesting choices and ensures that these choices have a meaningful impact on the game. Give information. You are the player's eyes, ears, and noses. Describe the situation and answer questions generously. There we go. That's good. Answer questions generously. There should be surprises, but players should feel that their decisions are based on sufficient information. Ensure that players know the risks they are taking with their actions. Yep, that's good. So like my wife and I, we love watching like certain like detective kind of shows, and there's certain shows that like if you watch really carefully and pay close attention, you can guess like there are enough clues throughout the episode for you to guess who done it before you get to the end and everything is revealed. Like that is a sign of a good story. But for if the show instead said like you watch the whole show in the very end, it's like some person did it that wasn't even in the story at all and nobody even knew anything about, and like where in the world did they even come from? Like, no, you feel robbed. You feel like that. That's not a good story at all, right? Present choices. Each situation should present the choices with an interesting. Each situation should present the players with an interesting choice. Yes. Interesting choices, yeah. Assessing the risk against the possible reward is a vital part of the game. So, help them understand the possible consequences of their action. Remember, easy choices make for a boring game. There it is. Easy choices make for a boring game. Yeah. That is very true. Not just in like running an adventure, but importantly, like easy choices when you're building a character. If this feat is always better than this other feat, like it's always best to do X, Y, and Z rather than A, B, C. Makes for a boring game. Like, why I don't need to show up if you guys already know what I'm gonna do, right? Show impact. What are the player's actions? The game will advance. Yep. Whatever they do, the game will advance. Ensure that every choice has impact on the current and ongoing situation. If the player's action called for a save to be rolled, success and failure should both have consequences. Yes. So different things. So the player's choices have impact on the story, but the story does continue. Okay. Luck rolls, damage, treasure. Oh, I thought there was a little bit more obstacles and tricks. Spotting hazard. Okay, here we go. As a general rule, the presence of a trap or other hazard is always noticed by the characters unless they are running. So yes, so that is really important. Traps are always noticed. After this, the characters may be harmed through further inaction or lack of caution. Right. It's not interesting being hurt by a trap you didn't see. It's interesting trying to avoid a trap that you see and then like failing or succeeding or whatever. Like that's the interesting part. Bypassing hazards, the players should consider creative ways of avoiding a hazard or disarming it completely. Risky methods call for a save or luck roll. Rusty old traps may only trigger on a low luck roll. Okay. Hey, Double King. Good to see you, Matt. Locked doors. Typically, a locked door can be picked given some time. Dex save is only required if there's a risk of triggering a trap, alarming foes. Okay. Similarly, break down a door only requires a strength save if there are risks of time pressure. Yeah. It shouldn't be like, oh, here we go. Let me roll. Oh, I didn't. Oh, that's a D12. Let's roll. Let's see if you do it. 14, not high enough. 8, not high enough. 10, keep kicking. 15, there we go. We did it. Like, no, that's not interesting. It should be like 14, not high enough. Something happens. right? 8, all right, try again, or 2, not high enough, something else happens, right? It's not just like, oh, we just try until we inevitably succeed. Yeah, exactly. If there's no time pressure or some other kind of pressure, then it works. It just works. Maybe it takes a while, but it works. Wandering encounters populated. So I don't love wandering encounters. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I've not had a positive experience with them, but I don't love wandering encounters. Populated areas, the referee rolls d6 each time the group moves to a new area, loiters or makes a loud noise. A roll of 1 means the group encounters something. Roll of 2 means they hear something approaching nearby. 36 means there's no encounter. So I do like that. So just intuitively, let me not roll that huge die. So we'll roll one of these. Ooh, we got a 1 on these handsome Joshatron dice. We got a 1. Okay, so worst case scenario, so, we have an encounter. What is this? 4. All right, so nothing. 5, nothing. 4, nothing. 5, nothing. 1, something. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a cool idea. I don't know that I appreciate that much randomness. Like especially on a D6, like you might just have like you might just have no wandering encounters. It's a little bit too swingy, maybe. Maybe like 2d6 would be better, or like on a 1 to 2, like on 1 to 2, like a 1 is a hard encounter, a 2 is like maybe a medium encounter, 3 or 4 you hear something, and then 5 or 6 nothing. Like so just a little bit, like a little bit more spread might be cool, but it's a cool idea. So like this is a cool idea. A roll of 1, like the lower you roll, the worse it is, and the higher you roll, the better it is. Like that's a cool idea, but like a roll of nothing happening is not particularly interesting. Like whatever room they're going to, if they're going from like this room to that room, like it should already have something, rather than like, ooh, maybe there's something, maybe there isn't. I don't know. I struggle with that. Maybe it's the playstyle thing. But I mean, I guess if you have enough rooms and you do this enough time, just the odds of different things happening, like maybe it could work out. Uh, Maybe it's different in these kind of OSR, OSE type of games. Yeah, I don't know. Chud, hey Chud, good to see you, man. So I love a lot of the sample hazards in here. So let's take a look at some of these. Sample hazards, stupefying dart. There's a pipe visible at the base of the chest, triggered by opening the chest without taking appropriate precautions. Broken darts litter the floor of this room. Okay, so broken darts litter the floor of this room. Why are there darts everywhere? Okay, and then there's a pipe visible at the base of the chest. And then there's a chest. So I might like reorganize how all of this is said if this was in a room, but this is a cool idea of a hazard. You see it, you can prevent it, and you can do something about it, or you can ignore it, and then you get stupefied. Swinging blades, perfect, perfect thing to have. We've got that in one of our adventures. Obviously, classic, eternally swing over a corridor in a sequence. Yep, can be blocked only by a very strong metal pole or other such objects. Passing through without disabling causes D10 damage. Okay, so like there's no deck save. Like so you can stop the blades, or you can just take damage. So in ours, let me see. How do we handle it? How do we handle it? So we just wrapped up this one. So how do we handle it here? So we have trapped gallery. So we have a sloped floor covered in thin layer of sand. Sounds echo from. So like we've already hinted that like previously in the previous room, we've hinted that there's like this metallic like slicing sound coming up. So the sound is echoing up from below. So there's a sloped floor that's covered in sand, and you begin sliding down the floor upon stepping on. So it's not something you just like sort of go back and forth. So it's like a one-way thing. Leads to a corridor guarded by a series of 3-bladed pendulums, perpetually swinging. There we go. A mural, so there's like some lore, some information, and we have a DC 10 dex save to slip past one. So there's 3 of them, so you can make a DC fairly easy dex save. So like the rogue, the barbarian, the zephyr, like they'll be able to pretty easily slip past these like without much struggle at all. A mage or some of these others, like they might not. in each one, you'll suffer d8 damage for each failure. The mage might, instead of like trying to use their speed, they might use examination or insight to like, oh, they see, all right, so these are following a predictable pattern. I'm gonna like take a moment to sort of notice this and figure this out using my brain. They can gain advantage on the save on that way. Or with a higher finesse check, someone can disable the mechanism temporarily. So if you succeed, everybody can just like run past pretty quickly. It's temporarily disabled. So it's a higher DC because you can just succeed for everybody. But if you fail, you're gonna take a bit of damage as like your hand is pinched in the mechanism or something like that. So different ways to overcome this kind of thing. It's not something you can just run away from. So it is something that you do have to face if you go down this right path. If you go down the left path, then you can just you can ignore it. So that is my take on that. But swinging blades, super duper cool. But it's a trap that you can see, and there's multiple ways you can. Oh, hey, Angela, didn't see you either. Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways that we can handle that. Strange nectar, pool of honey-like liquid. It smells delicious. Eating it causes violent spasms for 1 minute. An hour later, the character's spasms again violently choking up D6 thumb-sized yellow maggots. Begin to secrete a pool of a new pool of nectar. The character uses a point of strength for each maggot choked up. That is cool. That is super cool. That is so cool. That's something that people will remember. Like it's just like a narrative thing. Lose health or lose strength or like whatever. I think strength in this game is roughly equivalent to the health. That's really cool. Like it's like a memorable thing, like a minor setback, but like ooh, honey-like liquid smells delicious. Yeah, I'll eat it. So I would be careful about it's like it appears this way, but it really is bad for you. It gives you no benefit. Like I might give like a minor benefit, like makes you faster, for a while. Because like if you overly punish like interacting, if you overly punish people interacting with the environment, then people will stop interacting with the environment. They'll do the minimum to get through to the very end. So I would probably reward something like this. Um, like instead of like losing strength or taking damage, I might the nectar gives them like temporary hit points. But then maybe they'll lose an equivalent amount of hit dice, something like that. Like that would be cool. So it's not like a good thing or a bad thing. It sort of like balances itself out, and then like there's this just like sort of funny yucky thing, like someone like there's gonna be that one guy who like picks up one of the maggots and like carries it with him and like, all right, we got maggot factories now, like we're just going to use this forever, so that kind of thing is really interesting. And then there'll also be the person in the party that will say like they could mechanically really use the temporary hit points for whatever reason, but they say like, no, I don't want to vomit up maggots. Like so the story part like is repulsive to them. Like that kind of thing is really cool. Balancing ledge must be crossed to reach whatever lies on the other side. Can be done quite safely without pressure, but when having to run or when under attack, make a dex save or fall to the lower level. Taking damage, requiring a rope to climb back up. The lower level contains crocodiles. Okay. Grasping vines triggered upon nearing the writhing vines. So the vines are moving. These aren't just vines. These are wiggling vines. You take damage each turn, and your attacks are impaired. So you're like grappled or restrained or whatever, until you break free. Break free, highly flammable. I love that. It's like, what does highly flammable mean? It's up to you. It's up to the GM. But I love how this is like evocative. Like, yeah, the vines obviously are highly flammable. Containment pit, false floor is clearly visible unless the character is distracted. I like that. Sprinting or vision is impaired. Stepping onto the floor forces a dex save to avoid falling in. The fall causes damage and a metal cage slams shut around the victim. An alarm alerts the keepers of the trap. Okay, so maybe we can figure out how to escape. Maybe we can figure out how to turn the alarm off. Maybe we just end up fighting the keepers of the trap, and like it's not that bad of a fight or whatever. Maybe the keepers of the trap maybe like you are here, and then like the keepers of the trap like are range, and they only shoot things or throw rocks through the into the trap. It's like you can't fight melee, but like you can like just fight ranged with them. Like that kind of thing is pretty sweet. Trader circle triggered by entering The circle marked with a symbol depicting a dagger thrust into a heart. Okay, ooh. Will save or immediately attack a closest ally, continuing until knocked unconscious. If you pass the save, you are thrown out of the circle. That's interesting. Like an interesting idea, I think would need to be set in a very particular setting and maybe explained a little bit or some reason to enter or like something else. I don't know. Cool start of an idea. Encounters. Character drive. Characters and monsters should all have something that they desire and are working towards. So in the layout of like having this kind of thing is something. Ooh, I wrote in the book. Is something that I sort of attempted to follow in Nimble as well, with a lot of the heroes. So what is their drive? The main guide. Okay. Monsters. Some encounters are by the very nature different to people and animals. All right, that's fine. Hit points. Creatures have up to 30 points. Okay. All right. Example monsters. We don't care about that a whole lot. The world. So we don't care about the setting a whole lot. I think we have stop reading if you intend on playing in those locations. Ooh. Okay, so let's take a look at. So let's look at a sample adventure. Level 1, the Iron Coral. Iron Coral. Strange mix of metallic and coralline minerals, seeming both artificial and organic. Okay, so we have 0, 0 here. On the coral, gray coral, metallic, sea, frothy, dead fish. Oh, it is coral. It's not coral. Slope, rough, dark, down to 1. Okay, so I do like. So we have bullet points here, and then we have like this leads to somewhere else. Cool iconography. We have use of bold. We have use of parentheses and italics. I don't love. I don't love like the use of the numbers a whole lot. I wish it just said like instead of on the coral, or instead of 0, it just said like entrance or on the coral, the pit, the red room. I wish it just said that. I don't know why the numbers are here or the numbers are needed. Like I have to go 8. Okay, what's 8? Let's go back to over here. They're going to room 8. Oh, it's the misshapen room. Like just say like the misshapen room. Just say that right there. And I get that maybe the space is tight, but I think we could fit words like this size. Like I can read that just fine. You could put misshapen room there. Okay, so so I don't know how long this adventure is intended to be, but there are 20 rooms. 20 rooms. 13? 13 rooms? Oh no, it keeps going. 16. Yeah, there's 20. Yeah, so there's 20 rooms. So like this, I assume that like this picture is important for the adventure. Otherwise, like it's just taking up space. So I don't love that, but I do like how this is like pretty easy to like read through and run. Okay, so the pit, dark cave with echoing waves, echo sounds metallic. Interesting. So to the right, crawlway, damp leads to 5. Okay, so this is confusing. It's a little bit confusing. So to the right, I would assume goes to 4. So how can we get to 4? Shoot down. So shoot down seems like it should go to 13. Okay, so it feels like there's too many different connections in this room. There's too many different connections in this room. So like maybe 1 and 3 could just be like the same thing. Like so, instead of room 1 and room 3, the pit has a collapsed escape route, right? Yeah, I don't know. And like slope up to 0, like I don't think we need that because we already know that because we just got here. Okay, I do like how it says like to the left, red coral wall, down to the right. That is really cool. So in Nimble, we're only using bullet points, and I do like these different icons here instead of that. Ooh, I love this. I'm going to highlight that. I love that idea of like the different icons. I've never seen that before. Red walls, coral, soft, slowly regrows if cut. So I do like how like is short, really super duper short descriptions. Love that. Meaty pile, former dog. Ugh. A pouch with what was that? 20 silver. Okay. So what does this lightning bolt mean? Anyone in here starts to feel faint. Staying after this warning requires a will save. Okay. I like to use a bolt here. To avoid passing out. Anyone left in contact with the floor is digested in their sleep over an hour by the red coral. Ugh, that's yucky. But that's cool. Like super important. Like a thing that happens. An important thing that happens. I assume is what this means. New room, loitering, or noise, roll. Okay. Collapsed escape route, narrow tunnel, dead end, corpse partially eaten by the tendrils, 20 silver in pockets. Tendrils, d6 damage, retract if harmed. Cool. So it's like not quite a monster, but like it's like a simple monster, like a one-sided monster. Wandering encounters, roll d6. Don't love wandering encounters, but sprayer thing. Hulking toad-like creature, lost and confused, 10 hit points, armor 1. Okay, so stats, lone, starving husk. Okay, so one starving husk. Pulsing sack, crawling carapace. So what is a pulsing sack? Room 7. Let's go over to that. Pulsing sack. Okay, so it's a creature. Okay, pulsing sack. All right. I mean, I guess that's okay. Slug crate, metal crates, slug like blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I love wandering encounters a whole lot. Untrustworthy treasure hunter. That is a cool idea. Untrustworthy. So having other adventurers in here. So I'm not gonna read through everything, but let me just quickly scan, see if there's anything else in here that we can draw inspiration from. Okay, so right to 18, left to 8. I really like that. That is a simple, cool way to describe things. Because like when you're in there, like you're not gonna say north, south, east, west necessarily, but you could say like, what is that west and that is east. You could say that, but like you're gonna say like to the left and to the right because you're saying it from the hero's perspective, right? So I might borrow that. I don't love like all of the art taking up space, just making it take longer. There's more flipping. Okay, Death Hand Store. Touching a recently killed body absorbs its life force. Huh. You can talk to the dead being or release it as an energy blast for D10 damage. Only one being's life force can be stored at once. Oh, there's an item, I guess. Death Hand Store. Oh, not stare. Only one being's life force can be stored at once. A character that is killed while carrying this arcanum lives on as a glowing ghost. That is super cool. Super duper cool. Death Hand Store and a Life Hand Store. Interesting. Life Hand. Restore a recently killed body to a half-life. Ability scores and hit point remain as they were upon death. A being with any ability score at 0 cannot be restored. Their physical wounds never heal. Restoring another being. Oh, that's super creepy and weird. Okay, so there's a lot going on in this room. So like, ton of different monsters, a ton of different items and things going on. Cool, like really cool. Like I would probably run this over like a 5e style adventure. That's like 10,000 words or something. But it's a little bit more complex, a little bit more complicated than what I would like my ideal adventures to be. So to show what like let's go to one that has the map on the same page. So we have like the stat blocks right here on the same spread, so you don't have to flip anywhere. We have the map here on the same spread, and we have like everything we need here except for like once we get to the conclusion, we couldn't fit the boss stat block. So the boss stat block you have to flip to go to, but it is so legendary encounter here, Thorn Quickblade. So we have like some secret some backstory information that they can learn in different ways. We have some different quest hooks, and we might like trim that down to 3. So this is one of the very first adventures we did. So I might trim that down to 3 instead of 4. We have traveling encounters, so like you experience, you here, here, here. So like as you're going, you have traveling encounters. Then we have then we get to the actual adventure itself, and then we play through. And here's the map as you're playing the adventure. So a lot of the same kinds of things, but we're boiling it down even more, and like we only have like we don't need like 12 different monsters that we could potentially encounter in this adventure. We have like 3, and that's enough. You learn how bandits work, and then then there's assassin bandits. Okay, they're like bandits but a little bit more spicy. And then there's environmental things that can happen, and then there's this boss bandit guy who like works even more differently, more differently than everybody else. Let's take a look at Shadowdark. We've got Shadowdark out here. Let's see if there's any good advice in Shadowdark. I'm sure there is. Good advice. So where's gameplay, treasure, game master, your role, 101. Let's go to page 101. So my thoughts on the Shadowdark layout. Other people have obviously said this before. The text is like much larger than I would, much larger than I think it needed to be. This book could have been like half as thick and much less, many fewer pages than so like a book this thick is much more intimidating than a book that's this thick, right? Or even a book that's this thick. And like the paper's thick also. Like the paper is like almost like cardstock. Paper's quite thick. But if the font size, this is opinion, obviously. This is like what she was going for. But the paper is like quite thick. And if this book was like so like 20-30% thinner, then I think more people would probably play it. All right, so let's go to, I'm already seeing some good GM advice, so I think we're close. Okay, so Game Master. At times, the Shadowdark seemed sentient in its malevolence. It was as though some hand guided it. Oh, that's cool. That's like a cool meta description of the Game Master. I like that. The Game Master is the world spinner, the all-wise, the ventriloquist. You are so. This is some feedback that I got from some other people with layout, like having space between every paragraph. Sort of just takes up space. So rather than that, like the second paragraph, like any additional. So this paragraph, first of all, is like one sentence, which it makes it easy to read, and like this is like sort of like obviously narrative. But rather than having space between each paragraph, you can just sort of like slightly indent the next paragraph, and that's what we ended up doing in our books. And I was able to cut like a number of pages, not just for the sake of cutting, but we could put other content in those pages, or the book costs less to print, or we could put more art, or it's not as heavy to take with you wherever you go. So like there's a lot of benefits, and there's the shipping is cheaper, it's less intimidating to read. Like you can open up to one spread and have like 4 pages of information on 2 pages, so you're having to flip less, right? And especially if you have like really good headings like this, like you can like flip to a spread, scan it real quick for the thing you're looking for, rather than having to flip a bunch of pages, making things take longer. So all of this content could have been on just this page. It's like and then like all of the content from the next page could have been on the next spread. Anyway, you are the deadly pit trap. I did write on my book with pen. Whatever. You are the deadly pit trap and the assassin in the night. You are the storm, the army of the gods. You hold ultimate power. So this is really cool. This is really cool. Yet you only want one thing: to see your players triumph. Oh, there we go. I love that. It's like, what is the goal? Are you the adversary? No. The players might think you're the adversary. At least like it's a meta level, like in the story wise, but like not like in person though. So you craft malevolent villains worth defeating. You sculpt marvelous treasures worth stealing. You fill the world with rot, darkness, and death so that it can be driven back by sword, spell, and flame. Wow. Kelsey, you are a very good writer. I've never really actually read anything other than just like flipping through and like looking at stat blocks stuff. So like this is the first like actual narrative stuff that I've read from Kelsey that she's written. She's quite a very good writer. Like that's cool. Give me goosebumps almost. Through this, you offer an invitation. You propose it loudly with roaring dragons, humbly with helpless villagers, secretly with hidden treasure maps. You call the players to adventure, and they answer. That is so cool. That is so cool. That makes me want to be a GM. The only rule is that you make the rules. What's written in this book is a guide, not a constraint. So that kind of thing pops up a lot. I really like that thought. None of it takes precedent over your judgment. If something doesn't work at your table, change it or throw it out and don't look back. Yeah. So I really like that sort of OSE, OSR's kind of spirit. Hey, Maia, we're working on the GM guide. We're working on the GM guide. We're looking at some things that we can add as like GM advice. So working on wrapping things up. So just looking at a bunch of different books and systems and things. Mining them for inspiration and advice, both for our book as well as I want to include lists of inspiration for other people to buy and read as well. So we're looking at Shadowdark right now. We looked at a couple of other books already. So that's what we're doing. Glad you joined us. And Mike, if you're going to be around for a little bit, I have on my schedule today to talk about the monster balance stuff. So if you want to chat about that, then I did want to do a deep dive on that. We can chat if you had any particular questions. The Pact. You and your players are gaming together to have fun, prop each other up, and strengthen bonds. This is the Pact. The Pact is often unspoken and unseen, but it is always felt. It's basically okay. Its enemies are selfishness, antagonism, and arrogance. Decision. Okay. So be a good player. Would you recommend Shadowdark? I heard it has some. So this is like the first I'm actually reading of Shadowdark. So far I have critiqued its like design and layout. Not like they did like the art design and stuff because the art's pretty cool. But it's just the layout. Like it's a much thicker book and much heavier book than it needs to be. So it's quite a chunky book, but part of that is because like the font size is huge and the paper is thick and the spacing is really wide. So like this is the font size of Mothership, which is perfectly readable. And like this this much text would would fill an entire page. So so Mothership, like this doesn't feel crowded, it feels efficient, right? And not every page in Mothership is like this. So like they do have some big spreads and just like 2 columns. But like this text feels perfect. Like as I hold it in my hands, it feels perfectly readable. And I'm even like reading the text like on the camera from, so like it is perfectly readable. But like this is sort of like comically large. Yeah, if I'm free at the time, all right, cool. If you want to hop in now and chat monsters, we can do that. Just so I sort of know like what your questions were. You're definitely welcome to do that now if you want to, Maia. But I haven't played Shadowdark. I've heard good things about it. It's what I know about it. It's a bit too OSR OSE type for me. But if anybody wanted to run it for me, I'd play it in a second. So like this is like monster stat block here, like giant octopus, super condensed, which is like both cool and a little bit challenging. So. There's a pact, adventure hooks. When you give adventure hooks to the characters, you're usually encouraging the players to grab onto these threads. While you can't expect every player to take your players to take every hook, you can make a call to adventure. Okay, make good ones. Heroism, discovery, the audience. The players are the real audience to the game story, not the characters. Yeah, that's true. A little bit hard to understand. For example, here we go. An example. The players might be in great suspense because you just rolled a random encounter check in front of them, similar to a horror movie, where the audience watches a murderer slink toward the main character. The suspense comes from the players not knowing what is about to happen. Okay, so we're talking about random encounters again. So we just got hang on, I'll invite her to speak. So we just got done talking about random encounters, and maybe we'll come back to this. You can talk, Maia, if you want. I think you could talk. Have you been invited? Missed invite. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, so if you guys want to chat, you're welcome to chat. Okay, so we just got done talking about. Okay, yeah, no worries. So we just got done talking about random encounters. So, for example, the players might be in great suspense because you just rolled a random encounter check in front of them, similar to a horror movie where the audience watches a murderer slink toward the main character. Okay, the suspense comes from the players not knowing, so the audience not knowing what is about to happen. Okay, so in a good horror movie, does the director of the movie or the producer, does the director allow random things to happen in the movie? No, like the director knows this is what is happening when they enter that next room, right? The audience doesn't know, but the director knows. So if we're likening random encounters to a movie, would random things happening in a movie or a set of possible random things happening in a movie, would that make the movie better or worse if we're likening this to a movie? In my opinion, random things happening in movies will make the movie uh, typically worse, right? Um, but the director knowing that yes, when Luke goes on into the Death Star and he's gonna fight Darth Vader, and then the Emperor is going to come and he's gonna do this, like the director knowing like at least what the hero is going to encounter is what makes it more interesting, right? And the audience doesn't know that they're going to encounter Darth Vader and this and that is going to happen and the Emperor is going to do this or that. The audience doesn't know. So like it's as good as random for the audience. So that's sort of what I think about these random encounters. It adds a little bit too much randomness to it. Um, eh, yeah, I don't know. I can see pluses and minuses, but if this is the reason for it, like the suspense of it. I don't know. I don't know. Emma says it depends on how random the encounters are. Yeah, it definitely does. Like if like Luke, there's a chance of Luke encountering a unicorn. Like, well, that's too random, right? If there's a chance of him encountering 3 stormtroopers or 4 stormtroopers, like that's not random enough to warrant like rolling on it or like just pick 3 or just pick 4. Like it's you taking the time to get out a die. Okay, if we roll a 10 or higher, you're facing 4 stormtroopers. If you roll a 10 or lower, you're facing 3. You're facing 4. Like that there's not enough mechanical variation for that to really matter. And but like I think more importantly than that, like if video games did this, if video games did this kind of thing, like some video games do this, like Pokemon, like the old Pokemon RPGs, like you run around, the random encounters end up being annoying. Like what's one of the things that people always buy, they buy like Repel to stop these random encounters from happening, because after a certain point, like I'm not playing this for the random encounters necessarily. Hey Brandon. I'm playing this like so that I can choose what to do. But if like there's a chance of random encounters happening every time I take a step, every time I do a thing, like I see those as getting in the way rather than aiding the story. Like some of them might be okay sometimes. Um, roll a d4 wolves always feel bad. Yeah, it doesn't help the story. It doesn't push the story forward. It only serves to like, oh, here's the obligatory, like, all right, now we have to fight this thing in order to get to the thing that we're getting to. Like after I've encountered like 15 Zubats in this cave, like I'm kind of done with Zubats. Like the first Zubat I find, like I encounter, like that's cool. Like, oh, nice, a Zubat, but like by the time I hear the like, oh man, if I see one more Zubat in this cave, I'm gonna throw my Game Boy across the room. So like I see random encounters as doing that. Like so the fun part of the encounter is not the randomness of the encounter, it's the not knowing what's in this room. Like you can do that with just like the adventure saying, hey, X is in this room, like without the randomness, right? The random rolling and maybe there's something, maybe there's nothing. Like I don't think that's the fun part of it. Just like the death saves are not the fun part of, and this is sort of turning. Death saves are not the fun part of dying. Seeing death coming is the fun part of dying. Like the tensity, the tenseness of it is what is fun. The not being able to do anything about it is not the fun part. And people conflate those two things. Like, ooh, death saves are so fun because maybe I'll roll a 1, maybe I'll roll a 20. Well, 90% of the time, nothing happens and you just don't get your turn. Right? So can random encounters sometimes be fun, and just so happen to work perfectly with a story that it feels like it's not random? Yeah. but why don't you just like make a cool encounter that fits the story and is actually fun and pushes things forward and isn't like annoying and that kind of stuff. Like if Game Freak, the developers of Pokemon, if instead of making random encounters, they like handpicked really cool encounters with different Pokemon, that would make the game way better, in my opinion. It might take longer to develop. They might need to like have like some random encounters, but like could they eliminate 90% of them? Yeah, I think so. The rolling for a random encounter is also a ritual between me and my players. If they meet a random person on the road, it feels less random if it was already decided. Yeah, I get it. There's a time and a place for it. I think certainly that is cool. Like where no matter what happens, something interesting happens is cool. Like let's see who you find on the road. Like where the GM and the players both experience the surprise of what happens. That's pretty cool. Like I think there's a time and place for like the randomness and the random encounters. Like it's more fun rolling dice and it's more fun rolling dice like how much damage am I going to do? I did pretty good. You know, rather than like, oh, I know every time I attack I always do 5 damage. Like so some randomness is fun. If the randomness was like so extreme where like I'm rolling a D100 every time I attack, it's too much randomness, you know. So like bounded randomness, I think is where we are, or like in certain situations or certain certain kinds of thing. Random encounters are fun 5% of the time to me, yeah, or 10% of the time. Like, yes, uh, let's eliminate the 90% of the time where they're not fun and use them where they are. Like if you're on a road, something is going to happen. You roll a 1, it's a really bad encounter. You roll a 6, it's a really good, like some merchant who's like trying to get rid of some awesome magical items, like really cool, like whereas different things. Yeah, Slork, it's Slork's caravan. He might be there. Yeah, uh, he's a recurring merchant that in some of my campaigns. So those kinds of things are like not everything is planned out is cool. So in my opinion, like a good adventure has spelled out what is going to happen if the players don't do anything. That's what an adventure has. And the players are the ones who add the randomness, right? Yeah. All right. Let's see you guys. Okay. So I get that random encounters can be fun. I don't think this is the best example of it. Because movies are good and exciting specifically because someone has chosen what is and what is not in this movie, right? And not just like this set of things could be in this movie. It's this thing in particular, right? This thing in particular is what makes it cool. And if I know like this is going to be the boss battle, I can foreshadow that. I can learn about that boss battle, or I can like we can tie in things so that each choice along the way that the players made is more meaningful rather than like well everything is random, so like whatever, right? If Paul Atreides knows he's going to fight that one guy, the dude, I forgot the name of the dude, Fade. If he knows he's going to fight Fade Rotha, then like during his quest, he can go to the library and learn about Fade Rotha and how he fights and this and that and whatever like different tactics, and then like he's rewarded for like doing all that sort of stuff. But if it's like, you know, on a 1, he'll fight Fade Rotha. On a 2, he'll fight, D4 plus 1 wolves. And on a 3, he's fighting a purple worm. Yeah, like, I don't know. The randomness isn't the fun part of it, usually, I think. Makes a lot of sense and is helpful for me. Angela says, I'm preparing my first campaign right now. Oh, cool. Congratulations. Thinking I had to roll on a table for every encounter was stressing me out. Yeah, no. There's enough to keep track of. Yep. How I decide beforehand what I'll give to the players. Yep. So the nimble adventures, just to go back to some of the nimble adventures. So let's go to, so this is the first, let's go to the first nimble adventure. Let's go to, so the first nimble adventure it's not random, it's however many players you have, there's 2 goblin minions per hero. So if you have 5 players, there's 5 heroes, there's 10 minions. So the first encounter is 10 minions, right? So I as the GM, like especially if I'm a first time GM, like I don't have to worry like what if I roll like really, or what if the players roll really, really bad encounters, and by the time they get to like the end of the adventure, like they don't have enough hit points or whatever because like they've rolled every random encounter and they've had to fight a bunch of things, and now they've all have like 3 hit points left, and now like the end encounter that they're supposed to encounter is like they're gonna lose, right? Or like they rolled no encounters at all, and like the last encounter that's supposed to be challenging, like well they just kill them without any tension. Like the difficulty knob, I like it makes it less fun. It makes it more stressful. You know, that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like that kind of stuff. So yeah, the adventures in Nimble are very easy to run and less stressful because of that. That said, it's not all proscripted. Like you can like there's still like plenty of choice to be made, and the characters can make an impact and all that kind of stuff. But it's not so random that it's slow or stressful or pointless. You know. All right, let's go back. Let's see. The dramatic question. Most encounters have a simple yes or no question driving the interest. When that question is answered, the encounter is no longer exciting to the players and it's time to move forward. Okay, so knowing when it's time to move forward is a good thing. It's time to move forward. So sometimes, yes, this scene has played out. It's no longer interesting. Let's move forward. Dramatic questions are not always obvious. The question for an encounter with a troll guarding a bridge is not whether the characters can kill the troll, but whether they can get across. Maybe. Oh, that's the end of that. Okay. Okay, so far, I love this. This is 10 out of 10. Like all of this, like this section here is like 10 out of 10. This stuff, like yeah, so this part is good. This part, like yeah, so this whole page, like this whole section is good. I don't know. I think this part is losing me just a little bit, just my opinion though. Ooh, sorry. Core principles, time. So this is a cool thing about Shadowdark that really caught me. Like time, like every real. Did everybody else lose? Sorry. My audio I think is working. Let me know if it isn't. I did just smack the. Can you hear me now, Chad? I don't know. I just smacked my microphone pretty good, so sorry about that. If you want to, if you're still here, if you want to let me know what specifically like questions you had about monsters and stuff, or remind me or send me the link to the thing that you had earlier, we can go over that in just a second. So in Shadowdark, each hour real time, like if you start your session at 8 p.m., like by 9 p.m., like 1 torch has gone out. Like actually matters. That's pretty cool. I love how there's no dark vision. There's no dark vision in Nimble either. Dark vision is dumb. Gear, that's cool. Action economy, get 1 action per turn. That's cool. That's cool. I love having a. I like having like limited action economy. Information, dispense information freely. So this is just like a common thing. Yes. So like yeah, that is absolutely the case. If the characters test the floor where there's a trap, they find it. Yeah. So like yeah, they find the things. Distance, close, near, far. Again, these are two synonymous for me. Far is obviously far, but which is like closer or near. Yeah, nobody wants to miss fire an arrow into a dragon's eye because of a mere 5-foot deficit. Sure, yeah. Danger casting spells comes with great risk. Magic items are volatile. Fights are fast and unfair. Monsters are insidious. So this is very much an OSR type of thing. I don't know that I love that. I love like danger in it, but like the volatility is really cranked up to a point where I find it to be less tactical, less fun. But I mean, just for my brain, like a lot of people love that. They love the volatility of it. Like, hey, there's a good chance I'm going to die every session. A lot of people like that. Rewarding investment, stat checks. Okay, the characters automatically succeed at what they're trained to do. Only use stat checks. I guess that's like a skill check when there is time pressure and failure has dire consequences. Yeah, okay. It's like when to roll. Yeah, it's like a when to roll type of thing. We haven't added a note in a while. When to roll. Were there any other good? Was there any other good things? Dramatic question when it's time to move forward. I don't think we need to. I think that was enough. Discord issues. Okay. Danger, rewarding investment, stat checks, be unpredictable. Typical amount of treasure. Okay, yeah. Then become unpredictable. Okay, so these are calibrations, so you know where to start. Use them to feel for. Yeah, so change things. If all treasure is similar in value, there's no epic trophies to pursue, no motivation yet. Stark dangers, stunning treasures. The most glorious victories are the hard-earned ones. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Telegraph danger, super important. I think we already had that. Choices matter. I think we already had that as well. Adventures, campaigns, mundane, challenge variety, rules. Okay, so I think we've got it enough out of Shadowdark. I think Mouse Ritter. It's not a stream until we've gotten out the Mouse Ritter boxes. So I think Mouse Ritter has some pretty solid GM advice. It's been a while since I've looked at it. In the other box. I think Mouse Ritter has some pretty good GM advice. And it's like, again, just like a half a page. So one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to compare the font size of Mouse Ritter. So like, look how small that font is, but like when I have it in front of me, it's perfectly readable. Compared to Shadowdark and compared to Mothership. Okay, so this is clearly way smaller than this. Clearly way smaller. So we've got 4 lines of text. 1, 2, 3. Just aligning them. So this is just like for my own like layout reasons, because it's like 25% smaller. Oh, thank you, Maya. Okay, so let's see. But the standard text in the Mouse Ritter book is the size that the text pretty close to the size of the text in Nimble. So like it's more of a condensed font, but a little bit more spacing, which I think is fine. So I think this font size is like maybe 1 point or half a point smaller than this font size. So I think we're in a good spot. Oh, here we go. Game Master Resources, perfect. Best practices, make the world seem huge. That's cool. Create situations, not plots. Yep. 100%. Present the world honestly. So yeah, so these are like common things. Telegraph danger, reward bravery. So all of that is, we've already got all of that, those kinds of things. Asking for a save, when to ask for one. Consequence of failure, rock rolls, rulings. Exploration of encounters. Okay, I think that's, okay, so yeah, that's it. But I think the best advice, what is this? The best advice is here. Mouse Ritter is built on top of a long history of games. It is resilient to hacking. Many systems can be modified, replaced, or ignored entirely. Use this game as a toolbox to create your own. Love that. And I really like having a QR code with a link to more information. I think we're definitely going to do that. QR code and link to, yeah. Character builder, other resources, Okay, cool. Okay, so I think that's enough. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these questions that Maya had about monsters. If I can answer them now, then we will. We'll have that checked off. Let's put some of these back. My desk is filling up. Oh, here's that book, Made to Stick. Good book, a really good book. Made to Stick. It's backwards, but good book if you guys want to check that out. Okay, so are monsters too easy to take down? Can I go back? Can I copy this link? Be back. Where is it? Where are you? There it is. Copy link. There we go. Just so everybody can see it. All right, so let's see. Ooh, it's tiny. There we go. Can I hide this? Hide? I don't know if I can hide that or not. Come on, get out here. All right. Is the rule to always roll in favor of the players too OP? That's good. That's a funny way to put it. Feedback. Players, it seems like monsters will go down too fast, like there's very little challenge in combat for players. I understand that there's the rule to always roll in favor of the heroes, but when does it go too far? I recently ran the level 1 adventure from James Guide. I had 6 players, and sometimes it felt like, what's the point of the monsters? The first encounter, the heroes all went first, and the goblins all died without attacking at all. It's interesting. Okay, so the first encounter, let's go and go to the first encounter, just so we can sort of get a sense of what it is. So the first encounter is intended to be a tutorial thing. It's not really supposed to threaten the heroes at all. It's supposed to be easy. This is how you move. This is how you attack, right? So that's basically all it is. Like, this is how you roll initiative, this is how you move, this is how you attack. That kind of thing. It's not intended to be like a knockdown drag out. So if it was easy, that's the point. So the encounter is 2 goblin minions per hero. The encounter is 2 goblin minions per hero. So goblin minions, any damage kills them. Okay. So if we have like 3 heroes or 5 heroes or 10 heroes or whatever, there's going to be twice as many goblin things, right? So when they roll initiative, on average, they're going to get 2 actions. Each hero will get 2 actions. Some will get 1. Some might get 3. So if we have 10 goblins, it's going to take. So 5 heroes, we have 10 goblins. It's going to take 10 attacks, or like 12 attacks, because some attacks will miss. It's going to take roughly 12 attacks for the heroes to. Okay, that's good. It's going to take a few more attacks than that. So, on average, typically how the first encounter is going to go is the heroes will go. They're going to kill most of the goblins, and then the goblins are going to deal a minor amount of damage to the heroes. Okay, and that's basically how the first encounter is going to go. So let's go back to that. The next encounter was with star goblins, and they got to attack, but it was still obvious they would lose eventually. I feel like there were no real stakes. I understand this is all an intro, so maybe it's the case that the case that your players got lucky, but or like rolled particularly high or something like that. But let's do a quick sanity check. So the second encounter is intended to be like relatively easy, but like more of a medium thing. So let's go here. So this is a more challenging encounter designed to teach the defend and interpose reactions. What happens when a hero drops to 0 hit points? So if you have like 5 heroes, you might expect 1 or 2 of them to drop to 0 hit points in this encounter, which in Nimble isn't that big of a deal. Okay, so what does this encounter consist of? Where is it? 1 goblin flunky, so it's a goblin, but it just can't crit. Okay, per hero, and 1 goblin rat rider. So let's go up to the goblins. And actually, I think they're down here. There we go. They're down here. Okay, so goblin flunky. So it has 15 hit points. So each goblin flunky is going to take typically it's going to require 2 to 3 hits to kill. So each goblin is going to take a full turn from a hero. And then the rat rider is going to take twice as long. So it's going to take like 2 heroes actions, 2 heroes full turns to kill. So the way the math works out is that the way the math works out with on average, a hero is going to, if we're using like a mage for example, a mage is going to deal 1d10 damage from range, like 5 or 6 damage. So like 6 damage with crits. So mage is going to deal 6 damage. So goblin flunky can on average survive 2 to 3 hits, right? If you have a class that does something special, like the cheat or some other thing, they can the cheat might be able to take one of these down with like in his first turn, for instance. But other classes will do be doing different things. So if you have 5 heroes, you're gonna have 5 goblin flunkies and then this goblin rat rider. So the first turn, these 5 heroes are gonna have on average 10 actions. Some of them, and not all of those will be able to be used attacking. So maybe like six to seven of those actions will be spent attacking. So 6 to 7 actions are going to be able to kill 2 to 3 of the goblin flunkies, right? So there's going to be 2 or 3 goblin flunkies left and a goblin rat rider. So those 4 monsters versus 5 heroes, the heroes are going to win. But if all 4 of those attack 1 or 2 heroes, those 2 heroes are going to go down, and or the rest of these heroes are going to have to interpose and do other things, right? So that is what that is sort of the back and forth of the math of how these monsters are going to interact. So the heroes are going to deal a pretty substantial blow to the monsters on the first turn, which is expected. And then the monsters are going to be able to take down 1 or 2 of the heroes, and either they get taken down, or they have to spend some of their actions defending and then interposing, so they learn about that. But this is a winnable encounter for first-time players, right? So if you imagine many people who play for the first time, they're like moms or like 9-year-olds or like, people who are not like in the TTRPG milieu, who like this would be far more challenging for them. Like someone like Chud and Maia, they're playing like, all right, we're gonna focus fire, we're gonna do this, we're strategizing at level 1, so it's gonna be a little bit easier. So this is sort of like the recommended encounter. So if I knew I'm playing with a bunch of veterans, I might make this encounter a little bit harder, right? And you can do that fairly easily. I can add some minions, and you can do different things to make the encounter a little bit more challenging. And there's advice for that. There's advice about that in the thing. So going back to the question. So at least as far as the level 1 adventure goes, it is tuned to be about where it should be. Okay, so let's keep going. There are no real stakes. Yeah, so whoever was GMing, I don't know if you were playing or if you were the GM. If you're GMing, then you can certainly tune the encounter up a little bit if people are playing who are more experienced. If you're looking for a little bit more of a challenge, but on average, the math does work out to where it's going to be a challenging encounter. Let's see, export it here. Okay, so let's click here. If the players go first, there's a very good chance they all die before they can go. So there's a slight chance that the players can kill all the monsters before they go. So it's not a very good chance. There's probably like a 10 or 15% chance that they can kill all the monsters before they can go. And if they did, I mean that's part of the randomness. So maybe it was just on one of the tail ends of the bell curve. Let's go back. I think there was some other feedback beyond level 1. So Kimono says, of the same issue of the game I've run, mostly levels 1 to 3, monsters will die very quickly. Generally, in like 1 to like 1 hit if the heroes are very lucky. Generally 2 to 3 hits for a level appropriate thing. Though part of that for me was not quite understanding how strong to make the enemies. Okay. Encounters balanced by the book still have the PCs killing enemies a bit quick. So I'd have to wonder like what a bit quick means. But if it's like within a round or 2, then yeah, then that's fine. If you have 2 to 4 monsters per hero, then that's about where it should be. There's a range where PCs might get 0 actions. It acts more like a surprise round. Yeah, we do have to remember that that is a game. People come here to play, not to just not get to play. So having like a roughly 50%, 40% chance to get 1 action on your first turn, I think is punishing enough. Yeah, so first 2 encounters are supposed to. So Have similar issues at level 10 and 20. Okay. So at higher levels, it generally is just the variance is it gets bigger and bigger. So at level 1, like you know exactly the math of the encounter because they have exactly this equipment and exactly these abilities. At level 10, there's a pretty wide band of different abilities that they can choose from. There's different tactics they can use, and there's different equipment and magical items they have as well. So the band of what they're capable of is much wider, especially if you're just jumping into the middle of like a level 10 one shot. Um, if a player is like veteran and they ran this from levels all the way from level 1 all the way to level 10, they know that character really really well, and their tactics are going to be much better than someone who just like jumps into a level 10 one shot. And I've done it myself as well, like just when I'm play testing a character as well, even at like level 4 or 5, like I don't use the characters optimally. um, so there's a quite a wide band at level 10. And if a GM played with that group all the way from levels 1 to level 10, then they know exactly how to balance the things wherever they want to. And then at level 20, that band is like even wider. Like it's even wider. So level 20 one shots are just very very difficult to balance, and that's just an artifact of 5e. It's less so with nimble. I think the math is a lot easier, because things are less swingy. You're doing more damage more regular. You're doing less damage more regularly. There's fewer turns or rounds where there's either zero happening or big things happening, right? So nimble, like you'll miss sometimes and you'll crit sometimes, but that variance is lessened a little bit. Um, yeah, so I would caution about running like level 10 and level 20 one shots if you're new to the system. Just like with any system, like could I run a level 20 one shot in Mothership? I probably could. There's probably rules for that. Is that where I would start? I don't think I would start there. You're sort of just asking for trouble if you're running any system. If you're like sort of jumping into the deep end. That said, could someone play from level 1 and have a campaign all the way up to level 20? Does the math work? Do the numbers work? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That said, it's going to be a lot easier if your party, if you've been with your party all the way up until that time. It's going to be easier to do that. Just as if like you've watched a series of movies from the very beginning and you're watching the finale movie and like everything makes sense. Whereas if you just like are jumped right into the last 15 minutes of like some Avengers movie, like the 12th Avengers movie, you're not gonna make sense. Like, who is this winter hero and why does he have arms made of metal or whatever? I don't know. Why is this guy getting bigger all the time? How is he getting bigger and why is he getting smaller? Like, you're gonna have a lot of questions. It's not gonna be as easy to balance. Um, I don't think it's the numbers. The math is the math is what the math is. Like we know how much on average heroes do, and I can do more of a math deep dive if that kind of thing is interesting. Let me just pull up. I think I have here. So this is like the big balance sheet here. Let me show you guys this. So this is what all of the math of the game is built upon. Just so you guys sort of can get a better sense of what's going on. So this is what the math of the game is built upon. Um, no, definitely, and my yeah, that's great feedback, and I'm not saying this to like correct you. Like your feedback, like your experience is what your experience is. Like absolutely. So it's telling me like I need to clarify certain things or I need to do other things. So this is just sort of explaining some of the background. So no, I certainly appreciate the feedback. I hope you don't feel like I'm looking a gift horse in the mouth, so to speak. But like the math is what it is across the level curve, and like I know exactly how much each hero, or I know roughly the ranges of the damage each hero is going to do across the level curve. How are we supposed to playtest those high levels then? This is something I've been running into when trying to figure out playtesting. I feel like any feedback I provide will just be met with, they don't know their characters. This happened when I tried to provide. There's just isn't enough time to run counts. No, I get it. I get it. And like all feedback is certainly appreciated, but I do just want to sort of show you some of the math. And so this table is a chance to hit. So the middle column is rolling without advantage or disadvantage. This is 2 stacks of disadvantage, 2 stacks of advantage. So what effectively happens to the hit chance with different kinds of dice? This is the average damage, including the exploding rates. And then these are different stats. So how much does one cantrip do? So this is the average damage of 1d10. And like that's not including, that's not multiplying by like the the 10% chance to miss as well. So there's plenty of numbers. So the numbers. So like just like if you're building a video game, like you don't know how good anybody is at playing a particular video game. So it's not a matter of like knowing the characters or not. It's just if all of the encounter balance is tuned for like this veteran table, then all the new people will find it to be way too hard to play, right? So the recommended encounter guidelines is like start here, and if your table is like less experienced, make it a little bit easier if you want to, and here's some ways to do that. If your table is more experienced, then you can make it a little bit harder, and here's how to do that if you want to do that, right? So it's more of that. You as a GM have the tools to tune things as you wish, and Maya and Josh, as you guys are play testing or doing one shots or running campaigns, the encounter dials are there, right? So it's very easy to say like go to this. So like whenever we're running, like it recommends having like a level 4 monster, but I know like my players, they all chose subclasses that are like heavily DPS, heavily damage focused. Okay, so maybe instead of 49 hit points, or instead of using the hit points for level 4, you can just use the hit points from level 5 to give them a little bit more like staying power, right? Or my players, they're really not that great. They sort of just like they're theater kids or whatever, and they just like the story of it, and they're not really in it for the challenge. So like you can tune the encounter down one step fairly easily, and it's still going to be roughly balanced for their skill level. So for some tables, the level 4 encounter should be a level 5 encounter if they really like the tactics and stuff. And then the level 3 encounter for other tables is going to feel like the challenge encounter. So the tools are there. I can't balance it for everybody, but I can balance it for sort of like the mean or the norm or the average, and then different tables can tune it up or tune it down. So if you find it consistently always in one direction, and you feel like it's happened enough to where it's not just a luck or an outlier, then you can just like, all right, if it recommends X, then I'll go X plus 1, right? And then Josh, if it's the opposite for you, then you can like tune it the other way as well. I hope that helps. Like I'm not correcting anybody. Like your feedback is certainly valuable, but I don't think it's a numbers problem so much as I don't think it's a problem. I think it's the situation is what the situation is, and if you want a different outcome, then there's tools to tune it, right? For running it from a 5e adventure, we're just supposed to be able to use the hit points as Jim is. Yeah, absolutely. So rather than tweaking that, there's other things you can do as well to fine tune. You can balance with minions. You can add minions fairly easily. You can balance with tactics. So there's a lot of different ways you can balance a lot of these things. So like Lost Mine. Let me grab. I think I have. Can I grab this without breaking anything else? Okay, we did it. We did it. So let's just take a look at a simple encounter. Ooh. I don't think it's actually in here. Let's actually take a live look at one of these books. I think maybe that'll be helpful. There we go. I got my old copy of Lost Mine of Fendover. Desk. All right, so the first encounter, where is it? Goblin Trail. Goblin Ambush. Okay. Let's scooch this out of the way. So the first encounter in Lost Mine of Fendover. So this is like the starter set. This is from the starter set of D&D 5e. It says 4 goblins are hiding in the woods, 2 on each side of the road. Okay, so if you have 2 players, there's 4 goblins. If you have 12 players, there's 4 goblins. It's like, is that easier or harder to balance, right? So, like you just have 4 goblins. It just like there's that many bad guys no matter what happens. And I remember when my party played through this, like the orc like got shot by 4 goblins and he just died. But some like if it's like I don't know that there's a perfect answer. Like you can give the tools to the GM to hey, we're just going over Lost Mine Defend Over real quick, talking about encounter balance and that kind of thing. So in Lost Mine Defend Over, it like in most published adventures, it just says like there's X goblins, and you're just assuming like the writers of this are assuming that that there's going to be like on average 4 or 5 players. But if there's more than that or fewer than that, then all of a sudden the encounter balance is just completely off, right? So review the goblin stat block. Let's see. There's a pit. There's a trap. Let's go to the Crag Maw hideout. Let's see what's the next. So next one, again, there's just 2 goblins. There's 2 goblins here again, regardless of what else is going on in the party. There's 3 wolves that are confined here. So you could run. So however balanced, just say this adventure is in 5e. However balanced it is in 5e, it's going to be just as balanced in Nimble, right? So for a really big experienced party, 4 goblins, whether using the Nimble goblins or the 5e goblins, they're roughly equivalent power level. Whichever ones you use, it's going to be about as easy or about as hard. That said, if you use like a per hero basis for a lot of these, it's going to be much easier to nail that sweet spot of difficulty and challenge without being frustrating, without being boring, right? So it's not so much a Nimble thing as much as if you want to use any 5e adventure, you can. It's going to have all the benefits and drawbacks of being a 5e adventure, but you can just run it exactly as it is using the goblin stat blocks that I think the goblin stat blocks are like right in here. Let's go to the goblin stat block. Right here, he's going to do 1d6 plus 2 damage. So he's going to attack or in melee or ranged. And then they can sort of like, run away. They can run away as a bonus action if they want to. And then here they're actually going to have, they have fewer hit points but medium armor. So AC is 15, so fewer hit points but medium armor. So in the Nimble stat block, it's basically the same. I think it is actually exactly 1d6 plus 2 damage. Let's go. Let's just double check. 1d6 plus 2. Yeah, so it's the same, but rather than frustrating people with medium armor in the very beginning, just give them a little bit more hit points, and that's about where the math works out. So all the benefits and drawbacks of using a 5e adventure are still there, but it's just easier to tune it. It's easier to tune it to land where you want it to be. I don't know if that's the question you're asking or not. Or I don't know if that's the feedback that you're offering or not. But there is plenty of advice in the GM guide, I think, to accommodate for that. And if you feel like anything is missing or unclear, then I'd love to get that feedback, because right now I am actually like in the process of adding the final little bits of advice for the GM guide. Josh says, from my experience, that hasn't lined up, though, when coming from 5e to Nimble encounters-wise. For instance, any encounters that only feature 1 or 2 enemies are basically over before they begin, because the enemies go after the party in Nimble. 5e, there's a chance that they go first, and then there's less of a hit chance in 5e, so there's more chance they survive through. If the hit points on the individual monster isn't increased, then they're going to be basically destroyed before anything can kick off. I've experienced this in multiple encounters running in Wolf. Okay, so yeah, that's a good point. So perhaps as part of like the conversion guide, like, hey, if you're a 5e convert, like, hey, if you're running 5e monsters, roll initiative. Like maybe the monsters go first, maybe the heroes go first. Like maybe you could do something like that, or the monsters like go after every other hero, right? Something like that. So like an additional bit of advice, because that's a good point. The encounter guidelines in Nimble assume that the heroes are going first, and then the encounter building guidelines for 5e are just like, who knows who goes first, right? I've experienced this, and honestly, I think a good fix here is turn those individual monsters into legendary or to increase the monsters. Yeah, so I think that's more of a 5e conversion thing that we can definitely add there. So yeah, that's good feedback. Let me go and add that to the thing. 5e conversion. Who goes first? And more monsters or yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Cool. All right, let's keep going. So someone was asking a while back, hey, can we make sure we do this or that? Was it you, Emma? You were asking about explain. Here it is. Explain the marked entries in the doc so they can be archived. And lodging boons. Yeah, let's go and add the lodging boons back to this. Lodging boons. We can add that back. Anything else? Anything else that we can add back to the? Anything else that we can add back to the? Oh. They drop things. All right, so let's take a look at. I think there was actually a pretty good thread. Let's move this away. There's that gnat. Oh, I got him. I got him, and then let him go. Okay, so I think there's a pretty good thread in the Discord. Little gnat that keeps flying around here. There's a pretty good thread in the Discord about what to add. When you're done with that, I would love to get an answer regarding this. Storage bound points. Okay. Which thing? About dual wielding. Roll one attack with advantage. Why do we need to still roll both weapon dice? Dual wielding doesn't work that way anymore. Doesn't the player just say, I'm dueling with dagger and rapier, I'm going to make an attack with the rapier, then roll the dagger attack with advantage? Basically a way to avoid one rushed attack each round. So it essentially works out to advantage, but you can choose which weapon to like. I'm not sure. This is going to answer your question. You tell me if this doesn't answer your question, Josh. So let's go to the dice. Let's go to the dice. Okay, so we've got some handsome dice. Let's say someone has a short sword and a dagger. Let's say someone has a short sword and a dagger. So normally they can say, I'm going to attack with my dagger, or I'll attack with my short sword. Well, let's start easy. So we're dual wielding daggers first. All right, we'll dual wielding daggers. So you'll attack with this arm or this arm, but once per. Let's actually go to. Let's go to here. Let's go to the rule where the rule is, just so we can refresh our memory on what the rule is. Dual wielding. Heroes may wield 2 light weapons at the same time. While dual wielding, you may give yourself advantage on attack with those weapons. Okay. So let's keep that and go back to here. And Josh, again, please tell me if this is not answering your question, because a lot of times your question is a little bit more nuanced than I can understand it at first glance. Okay, so we're dual wielding daggers. So normally when we're rolling daggers, we just roll the 1d4, and these are cool Josh dice, by the way. So my first attack that round, I'll say, all right, I'm dual wielding attack. So I got a 2 and a 2, so I pick 2. I just roll with advantage. All right. So, but what if instead of dual wielding daggers, what if I have a dagger and a short sword? So I could just roll both of those. We have 4 and 4. Let's say we have a 5 and a 4. I can just choose which one of those, because as a rogue or whatever, I would always want the crit over even a higher die. So it's not strictly advantage. It's a little bit different. So you could just roll it with advantage, but it's a little bit different than that. Does that make sense, Josh? So let's go back to here. So dual wielding different weapons, roll dice for both weapons and choose either result. Okay. So let's and then like what if we are doing our dual wielding attack and we have advantage? Okay. So if we have our dual wielding attack and we have advantage, I'll pick one of the dice to add. Okay. So I'm just rolling one additional die. So I can roll all three of those and I can pick which one. Okay, so a miss, and a 2. All right, so we're keeping that one, right? But if this was like a 3, a 4, and a 2, then I would want to pick the 4, right? So I can pick any one of those. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So it's just an additional little like a little bit of tactics that you can add to your rolls if you want to. I mean, it'd be easy enough to just roll. Like I'll roll with advantage with my short sword. Like I'll feint with my dagger, and I'll just roll 2 of the same dice, and not fiddle with you. Like you could just roll with advantage if you want to, but this also works, and you have the choice. Like, okay, I'm dual wielding these 2 weapons. My first attack, I want it to be like I want to roll 2d4. Like I want to roll with 2 daggers, and then I don't know. You tell me, Josh, if that answers your question, or if I'm way off, or if you were if that's not even the question that you're asking. I think that's what you. Yeah, it has been streamlined a little bit just based off of feedback. The most handsome dice. Yeah. Specifically, the call out causes confusion. Yeah, it's a little bit streamlined. I feel like we merged 2 rules, and one of them isn't there anymore. The old version of dual wielding, that's how we used to do it, but you change it and give yourself advantage on one attack. Or this one. Yeah, so you just pick one of those weapons to roll a second time. Is basically all it is. So not both of them. I think that's straightforward enough. So let's see if let's go back to the feedback document. I think there was some really good feedback. About things that people wanted to see that didn't answer my question. Okay, try to like let me know like specifically what you're angling at, and then I'll try to answer it again. All right, let's go to the feedback document. So this subclass descriptions, a couple of lines describing what each subclass does. So I checked that off. So many subclasses we just don't have space. So for instance, like the like we don't have any more space really in the spread. And then ideally, the name of the subclass and the text of it should be descriptive enough to say like, oh, I get what this is. Like the Songweaver of Snark and the Songweaver of Courage. Okay, like so this one is like an offensive one, like snarky, like it has a lot to do with vicious mockery, and this one has a lot more about inspiring my allies, that kind of thing. So ideally, like that is not a necessary thing. Like I'm either a bulwark, okay, proficient with plate armor master, or vanguard, okay, advanced experience. So okay, this is the defensive one. This is more of an offensive, forward charging one, that kind of thing. So that is why I have marked that off. Yeah. Okay. So the cheat, distracted. Being adjacent to the valley. Can the cheat use vicious opportunities if an ally is close to the enemy? I think distracted is clear enough. Let's go. Okay, so we fixed that already. Lodging 15. Okay, so we're going to add that. Should glossary terms be in alphabetical order? Yes, they will be. They're not yet, but once I get all the terms in there, then I'll rearrange them alphabetically. Table of contents, missing page numbers, link for guide. Yeah, so I'm still working on the GM book table of contents. Still working on that. More to come soon. How to deal with non-lethal damage. Some players will want to capture the enemies alive. Good question. Non-lethal damage. Yeah, we can definitely add that. That should probably be in the core rules. It'd probably be similar to 5e, where like anytime you deal damage, if it makes sense, you can make it non-lethal. At least in melee, I can't imagine someone like, I want to deal lightning damage, but non-lethal lightning damage. Like I think for magic, like the spell is what the spell is, right? Honestly, I like that the player just chooses something as a non-lethal way when they reduce them to 0 if it's a melee attack. Yeah, it makes sense with a melee attack. Like, I'm holding my dagger, I'm gonna deal non-lethal, so instead of like the point of the dagger, I just sort of like, I smack them with the end like like you pistol whip them, or like you hit them in the head with the blunt end of the dagger. Like, that makes sense. You can make any melee attack non-lethal. You just don't like put the pointy end in them, you know. Yeah, melee, like, yeah. I think melee, non-lethal damage, any melee attack can be non-lethal if desired. I think that kind of thing makes sense. Good question for clarification. Yep. Flunkies and minions. Text disappeared. No, it's still there. I believe. It's just in a different spot. That's the legendary monsters. It is still there. So I was planning on moving it here, but it is still down here. So maybe I'll go ahead and put it here just because we do have the space. And then we'll just like sort of reiterate it here. Hey, you can use flunkies and minions. Remember those from up here? There you go. They're right there. But it's not removed. There is there's a heading there that was never added. Minion mechanical clarity. All minions move simultaneously. Does that mean if there are 6 of them, what are the ways you can divide up their attacks amongst the heroes? How do you give out their damage? How does defending their attacks work? Okay. So here's the rule for dual wielding. I love that. I think it's great streamlining from the rule we used to have. However, the call out for dual wielding with different weapons you brought out. Yes. If you're using two of the same weapons, you're just rolling with advantage, which is the same as rolling both weapons. If you're using 2 different weapons, it's not technically advantage. It's a little bit different. The way dual wielding is written now, I can just choose the dagger or the short sword and gain advantage once per round. Basically, the call out just isn't needed. The way dual wielding is written now, I can just choose. Okay, let's see. Maybe that's the case. I did something similar. So something similar happened with the Spellblade. So it was like, oh, you get as much mana. You get as much mana as you do combat dice. And then I realized like, oh, your combat dice is just equal to your int. So we tweaked it. You gain int mana whenever you roll initiative. So like we simplified it a lot because like we didn't need all the shenanigans around combat dice and stuff. So maybe it's the case that we roll dice for both weapons and choose either result. So rolling dice for both weapons and then choosing. Okay, so it's not the same. It isn't the same. Okay, so if we have 2 dice and they're both the same, then you just roll with advantage because choosing the higher result is always the best result. But if we have 2 different dice, then sometimes the highest result is not the best result because sometimes a 4 is better than a 5. Right? Where's the 5? 4 is better than 5 in many instances. So we're not just rolling with advantage. That isn't how you roll dual wielding now. You just give one and take advantage. So if you're dual wielding different weapons, roll dice for both weapons and choose either result. Okay. Reread the basic dual wielding, not wielding too. Heroes may wield 2 light weapons at the same time. While dual wielding, you may give yourself advantage on an attack with those weapons once per round. Okay, so are you just saying like we need an like instead? Like do we just need an instead here? It's like if you have 2 different weapons, roll dice for both weapons and choose either result instead. Like is that the net of it? I think Josh's problem is that the first paragraph says whenever you're dual wielding, roll with advantage. No mention of that being only for when with the same weapons. Sure, yeah. What's up, Josh?
Hey.
Are you there?
So, yeah, can you am I muted? Can you hear me?
No, I got you
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll make this very quick. I don't want to interrupt for too long here because the doc is much more important. But so with the way it's written right now, it says while dual wielding, you may give yourself advantage on an attack with those weapons once per round. So what that means to me is that you make an attack with one of those weapons and you choose which one gets advantage. It's not you roll them both and that counts as advantage. It doesn't say anything about them having to be the same weapon. Does that make sense? That like the same damage type in the base dual wielding instructions. Like you could wield a
Sure.
short sword and a dagger, and with that one, and then you would just pick the short sword gets the advantage or the dagger gets the advantage. The way I read it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while dual
Which
wielding,
I think is pretty clean, but can be a little bit more open ended. So I understand where you're coming from
yeah,
with this change, though. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
While dual wielding the same weapons
yeah. I mean, like,
or
I
the
think
same
that
die type. I
introduces.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that needs to be specified. Like, if someone wants to do it that way, like if I've got a dagger and a short sword and I just want to just roll 2d6, like that's fine. Like just
Mhm.
roll, just treat it as if you're rolling. If you have 2 short swords, I
Yeah,
think
but then
that's
it
fine.
breaks once you get to the dual wielding with different weapons. Because the way I read it, that wasn't at all how it worked. Like that was completely different to the way I understood the way that the normal dual wielding rule was written. So it really
Hmm.
confused me as to how dual wielding was supposed to work without that specification of the same weapon. That makes more sense now that you've said that that's the way it's supposed to work. So you're basically
Hmm.
just rolling both of those attacks at the same time, and
Correct.
that's what the advantage is. I get that now. I
Correct.
didn't get that at all before, and I may not be the only one who didn't make that connection. So it might be worth adding, something about the die type or identical weapons or something like that. But if you don't want to do it, that's fine.
Okay.
I did not at all understand how that was supposed to work in your intention, and it was very
Gotcha.
confusing because they seemed to conflict with one another. Like this one just lets me choose which dice I want to roll with advantage. Yet this one's telling me I now have to roll both of them with advantage. It was or both of them and choose one with advantage or whatever. It was
Hmm.
very confusing to me. That's all.
Gotcha.
It broke
Okay.
my brain a little bit.
That makes sense. Okay. All right. Appreciate it, man. Okay. So I'll think about that. If I can think of a better way to clarify that, then we definitely will. Let's go back to this thing. Minion mechanical clarity. So let's go up to the minion rules. I think there's minion rules up here, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's here. Monster minions. Minions weaken enemies will die from any amount of damage. They move and attack at the same time, cannot crit, and their feeble attacks will be defended against as if they were a single attack. Okay, so I'm okay with like the players not knowing all the intricacies of minions, but like if the GM says like, oh, hey, these are minions, the players are like, oh, okay, I know roughly what that is. So for the GM should have a little bit more more resolution about what minions are and how they function. Okay, balancing with minions. Minions are great for filling the battlefield and fluidity. They're easy to kill, but can overwhelm heroes if ignored. Minions die from any damage taken. At your discretion, excess damage can carry over to nearby minions. For instance, a 20 damage attack could kill up to 2 d10 minions or 5 d4 minions within range. Minions act together, each using a single damage die, for example, 1d4 for weak, up to 1d20 for strong. They roll attacks simultaneously without modifiers, cannot crit, and miss on a roll of 1. Heroes can defend or interpose against multiple minion attacks as a single attack. Okay, so this is part of the curse of knowledge thing that I was talking about earlier. All minions move simultaneously. Does that mean if there are 6 of them, what are the ways you can divide up their attacks amongst heroes? Okay, so let's go to. So I will tell you guys the intent, and then you guys can tell me how much sense it makes. All right, so let's show you the intent. So the dice are going to be the minions. All right, so we've got Bronan and we've got a Tiefling boy. All right, so let's say we have a bunch of minions. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Six. Oh, so we got 6 minions. So let's say these are goblin minions. So we've got a bunch of goblin minions. They all move at the same time. Okay, so these 3 are going to go over here. These 3 are going to go over here. Then, all right, let's see how many of these minions attack Bronan. Okay, Bronan's taking 9 damage. Let's see how many of these. I know these are, some of these are d4s, but whatever. Okay, so he's going to take 7. He's going to take 9. You guys block or do whatever you want. I don't care. But that's how much damage is coming in. So that's how minions work. So it's not like, all right, so there's 6 minions. This guy's going to move. He's going to attack. Okay, and then this guy's going to move. He's going to attack. And this guy, he's going to go here. He's going to attack. No, that takes forever. So minions, it's going to be these guys move here. So that's where everybody's moving. Let's see who hits. And I actually, like, you can just use, like, the dice on the table, like, the die size for the minion as the minion itself. And then when that minion takes damage, like, that die is gone, right? So that is the intent of minions. They take, like, literal seconds to run, right? So, like, if we had, like, all of these guys, like, if this was, like, just a minion encounter, like, I might surround this guy completely. All right, this guy's completely surrounded with minions. This guy is completely surrounded with minions. And then, like, these guys, like, they just, if there's no other heroes, they just don't get to attack, right? So it's not like this guy gets, like, he misses and he's going to move out of the way. Like, there's not, they're just, like, big dumb piles of damage, right? So these guys are all going to attack. Let's see how much damage they do. Ooh, all right, so he's taking a lot of damage. But you add that up, that's 1 attack. So if Bronan has, like, 20 armor, he's going to be able to block, you know, most of that, right? And then you're going to just roll all these guys, and then, like, he's gonna be able to block that. Or Bronan can come over here, like, interpose, like, he's gonna soak up that damage, then this guy's going to soak up that damage. Like, you can do that kind of stuff. Minions are supposed to be, like, super duper quick to run, no fiddliness, nothing to track. Oh, you attacked this guy, Bronan? Yeah, you hit, he's dead. Oh, you're gonna attack this guy too? He's dead. You're gonna do whirlwind? Yeah, you hit all these guys. They're all just dead. They're dead, right? So that is the intent of minions. Okay, so that's how they run at my table. So you guys tell me if that makes sense. So there's a great question. Can minions have a range attack, or does that break things? So minions by default don't have a range attack, but I will show you these guys. So here's some new monsters that we have. Snake Man minions. They have D6, melee or ranged. But otherwise, they follow minion rules. So, like, goblin minions, they're just dumb boys with a pointy stick. So goblin minions, they're just a dumb D6. They have to be a melee. But the Snake Man minions, they have range. So currently, the Snake Man minions are the only ones that have range. Yeah. So that is how minions run. You can have, like, 20 minions at the table, and, like, they just go bam, 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 bam. Okay, so with that known, we could clarify minions. Have range. Most don't have range by default, though some may. If you guys can think, so I have the curse of knowledge right now. In my head, I know how they work. And how it's described right now perfectly describes how it's supposed to work. But some people reading that, and they don't have the knowledge already about how minions work, reading that, they might not be able to understand. So you guys let me know. What, now that you've seen how they work, what is the disconnect between how they work in my mind versus what is communicated on the page? So like right now, I'm blind to that discrepancy. I don't see any discrepancy. They all move at the same time. They all attack at once. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's scroll up here just a little bit. Some guidance in the, I feel like maybe some guidance in the GM guide on letting the players know about overflow damage if they're using it. Yeah, I think that's included already. But again, if it's not clear, let me know. Change the player's decision-making process. It doesn't need to be in the core rules, yeah. Can minions have range attack? We did that. I've been curious about that from the beginning. Okay, cool. Yeah, range minions it makes them a lot more dangerous. Last live, someone asked about monster stats, and you had an idea about giving monsters an extra die for specific rolls. Say some goblin wants to steal from the party, and the GM would roll 1d20 plus 1d4 for sleight of hand. For the goblin stuff you can do on the fly. Ah, yes. Oh, thank you for the reminder. Cool. Legend. So D12. So it'd be up to D20. So adding a D20 would be legendary. So it'd be like a plus 10 or 11. Yeah. So D4 kind of good at it. Up to D20, quite good at it. Or legendary. Yeah. I think that'd be cool to add. That'd be really cool to add. I think you missed. Appreciate it. Holy moly! I don't know what a moly is, but yeah, snake men. Yeah, a bunch of the so snake men live in the desert and they live in the flying islands as well. So a couple of the adventures had snake men. So like, hey, we need snake men stat blocks. So we got some snake men. They're similar to bandits in power level, but a little bit spicier. And also they have Cobra Commander. There's Cobra Commander, which is just cool. Often have a knowledge. I think okay. I'm running minions. So I've never understood the MCDM minions. So I've just never ran them. Like they are super duper confusing for me. I've never understood them. I'll double check on how overflow. Okay. So there is an example in the GM guide about minions and overflow damage. It says a 20 damage attack could kill up to 2 D10 minions because 10 plus 10 equals 20, or 5 D4 minions within range. So like treat the quote unquote hit points of the minions at like, or the die size as the hit points of it. So like, if you deal 12 damage, you can kill 2 D6 minions, right? If you deal 7 damage, well, that just kills 1 minion. There's not any overflow damage. I could probably explain that more verbosely, but I don't know if that would make it more clear, or there would just be more words. It would be overkill, right? So I heard recently someone was like quoting from this like really long poem, and he said, "Yeah, the first few lines is all you really need to know. The rest is overkill." Like the first few lines, like it gives you the general gist of what the poem is talking about. I think I remember someone asking if all minions need to attack the same hero. Yeah, so they can attack different heroes. Let's see. Minions act together, each using up to attacks against their against their respective targets simultaneously without modifiers. What if we did something like this? And yeah, I know we have to fix the without modifiers. Cannot crit. I don't think we need to add fancy simultaneously. Might need one of them semicolons here. Without modifiers. Cannot crit and miss on a roll of 1. I think that adds a little bit of additional clarity. Is room for a diagram? Yeah, I don't know. Like, it would definitely add content, but would it add clarity? I'm not worried about space. Like, if we need to move it, like, we definitely can. Like, if it's needed for gameplay, we'll add it. Like, if it just doesn't make sense, not having enough space is not an excuse. Like, we'll make the space. We'll find the space. But I don't know that it's needed. It might be unclear if they all need to attack one target or if they. Okay, I think we got that. That's biggest point of confusion for others. I was saying it might be good to add to GM guide. GM should tell the players using overflow damage. Okay. Is there room for a diagram? I know time and space. I think the little dice example you did was pretty useful personally, but I know also, yeah. Like if something is over-explained, it can feel a lot more complicated. Like the fewer words that are used to explain a thing, the simpler it feels. So even if the concept itself is very, very simple, if we explain it too much, someone might just feel like, oh, minions are complicated. So that is something I'm worried about. Let's go back to the feedback document. So I think that's okay for now. We'll see. Locations, treasures, random encounters could use numbered lists instead of bullet points. Maybe. Some lists could have an odd number of entries that make some options inaccessible via dice roll. Yeah, that did complicate things. I'm going to leave that open as an option. We'll see. We'll see. There isn't an explanation for what stat plus 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 means. So, like here we have saves will plus strength minus. So that is the advantaged and disadvantaged saves. And that is explained here for skill checks and saves. Each hero has one advantage save plus and one disadvantage save and 2 neutral saves. So we could say something similar to that with legendary monsters. Let's go down to legendary monsters. May have advantaged or disadvantaged saves. Roll 1d20 for each. Plus or minus. I think that might help. That might add a little bit of clarity. Saves. Legendary monsters may have advantaged or disadvantaged saves. Like heroes, legendary monsters have have advantaged or disadvantaged saves. For example, let's grab old Pudjo. Let's grab a different one. For example, I don't think we need that. Okay, for example, come on. There we go. There we go. Let's. Oh, what happened? I pushed some button that took me where I didn't want to go. Just want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. For example, I don't think we need that. For example, it's not like me means that. Sorry guys, this formatting is, for example, this. Oh, I could just make this text wrap actually. There we go. We'll just make it text wrap. That'll be, for example, text wrap. Give it a little bit of space to the left. This means that this, for example, this means that this monster would roll strength saves with, we don't want, there we go. I think it helps. There we go. Okay, saves. Like heroes, legendary monsters have advantaged or disadvantaged saves. For example, strength plus plus, will minus, means that this monster would roll strength saves with advantage 2 and will saves with disadvantage. I think that helps. Let's see. You know what the minion thing might be good for the rules glossary? Just a minion groups can target different creatures, something like that. Evan, on the Kobold Sneak stat block, there's Revenge. If an ally dies first, move up to 6. I find it weird that it's not clear if it's a reaction during someone else's turn, or if a free action on the Kobold Sneak's turn if an ally died during that turn. Okay. I find it weird as it's not clear if it's a reaction. Or let's go. I'm sorry, hitting the microphone. Okay, Kobold Sneak, Revenge. If an ally dies, First, move up to 6 spaces. Yeah, it's just an ability. It's just an ability. So if an ally dies, so you got 4 kobolds, this one dies, and there's a sneak over here. Before he dies, first he's going to move over here, and then this guy dies, and then like the enemy he's gonna stab him. So it lets him take advantage of his no ability more. Yeah, I think that's okay. You guys let me know if it is not. So we got that. Leisure monsters attack too much. Most don't have low damage options, and if the GM stops attacking, it feels like they're pulling punches with sake of ability. Thorn, Quickblade, attack too much at the end of the fight. It was impossible to set up plans, having him attack, and having him constantly attacking made the fight boring. Okay. Side effects, charge attacks could make fights less deadly in case the encounter goes wrong. Proposed solution 2. After a hero turn, the monster gains 1 action. It could spend an action to... I'm going to be going more deeply on those soon. Not right now. I'm starting to fade right now. Ooh, here's a good list. This is just what I was looking for. Yeah. I find it confusing. As GM, I can rule it however I want because it wouldn't affect balance. I just find it confusing. As a GM, I can rule it however I want because it wouldn't affect balance all that much, but it's just weird. What is the it, Mist? Are you still talking about kobolds or are you talking about something else? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Still about the kobold? So it's not clear how the kobold sneak works? If an ally dies, first move up to 6. He's getting revenge. He gets revenge. He wants to stab people for killing his boys. And this isn't a you're dumb thing. This is a I'm dumb thing. So clarify. Clarify. I mean, maybe if the kobolds are good, it's not a win. Like, it could be whenever. See, we're tight on space. When an ally dies. Like, I don't know if that helps. Place if with when. Yeah, so like treat me like I'm dumb. Tell me specifically. So the wizard kills a kobold. Yep, the kobold sneak moves before the kobold dies. Yes, technically. So just like if the kobold like let's say like a zombie is attacking a hero, like the zombie attacks for 6 damage. Like before that happens, another hero can interpose and like take. So like it's that kind of thing. Like we're saying what happens if nobody else does anything. Well, this happens. Well, no, I can do reactions. I could do different things. I can do whatever. So that's the idea. So the kobold is similar to like interposing or something. Like he sees you. You're about to kill his boy, so he's gonna go and smack you. Yeah. But I'm explaining it like casual, like, oh, like obviously can't you see? Because like I already know how it works. And that said, like I need help understanding. Again, treat me like I'm dumb. I need help understanding what is unclear about it. The wizard kills a kobold. The kobold sneak moves before the kobold dies. Yeah, exactly. You got it. When to roll, when not to roll. How much gold / treasure? Yeah. So we got that. I'm just gonna copy and paste this into my own notes. If I already have it, then I'll just delete it there. But I want to make sure I get all of these. Uh-oh, why is it so big? Bold. Would roll when not to roll. Yep. How much gold treasure? Yep. How many encounters to run per venturing day? I think we've got that already. Quick reference tables or sheet, GM cheat sheet. So that is going to be on the in the end papers as well as in the GM in the GM screen. Any detailed examples of the skill challenges section? Yeah, maybe we could expand that a little bit. Expand the Skill challenges section. Okay, maybe. Templates for traps. Yeah, maybe. Table of contents. Yeah, we're definitely having a table of contents. So additional encounter building advice. Yes, we're going to have that, like different interesting encounters, like only range encounters, only minion encounters, only this, yeah. We're definitely going to have that. Using terrain. Possibly adding things one can interact with for both heroes. Yeah, that's cool. Side objectives. Yeah. Having a good spread of different kinds of roles and monsters instead of in times the same monster. Yeah. The word first in there probably just throws me for a loop. I don't know if it's just me, but for me it sounds like on your turn for free you first move 6 spaces of stuff. Okay, so the economy of words is sometimes helpful, but sometimes it sometimes it can hurt us. So let's just copy that. Okay, so what if we said when an ally dies, move up to 6, then use your no ability. Yeah, like it's one more line, but maybe that's okay. So like it adds clarity. Does it add any confusion? Okay, so does that mean they can use their no ability twice? Maybe, right? Or so like it's very clear in that you get to do it, right? But now can we use it twice? When an ally dies, they can use their no. You may move up to 6 spaces, then use your no ability. There you go. When an ally dies, you may move up to 6 spaces before using your no ability. There you go. So we've clarified it. I think I'm okay with taking the hit there, if it does help with clarity. I think I do agree that that makes it a little bit easier to grok. Revenge. When an ally dies, you may move up to 6 spaces before using your no ability. Yeah, so this means, yes, you use it once. So using, getting 2 attacks every time an ally dies means that they would be punching substantially above their weight class, which would probably be too much. I think colon syndicate triggers would be a good change in general. Use it elsewhere. I did skip over what you said. When an ally dies, comma or colon, move first. I don't know that it adds anything. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. It is more clear. If we spend that much time on it explaining it, then mist is probably not the only one. Okay, yeah, in general, yeah. Having good spread of different roles. Okay, yep. So I'm gonna leave that unchecked for now. Character sheet, some of the box for skills are not, so we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that. Playtesting guidance. You could list, yeah. Yeah, I got that updated. Record music for Evan. Thank you for that. Bubble wrap fidget. Okay, thanks guys. Appreciate that. Interesting homebrew ideas. I might have to look that later. The other advantage of the way you did it is it makes it more clear what the intention of the ability is. Okay. Good, perfect. Sorry, I had myself muted. I think I did look at this one already before about reallocating skills. Well, I'll leave it unchecked. Maybe we can have that as like a homebrew thing, since they're homebrew ideas. Abilities to incentivize a fury dice use. I don't remember seeing that. Hello, everyone. Thanks for reading. Sure thing. Blah, 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 blah. Unflinching. Mitigate damage. I don't think the Berserker needs anything additional. Clash. What is SA? Possible SA? What is SA? Do we know what SA means in this context? Oh, Savage Arsenal. Okay. Yeah, dumb. Unflinching. Oh, past possible Savage Arsenal. When you mitigate damage with that, or you got attack the attack for free. Now, I don't like getting too many attacks because like your damage output is already very, very, very high. Clash. Spin X Fury dice to block an enemy's attack in your weapon's reach. Can block and spin X Fury dice to block an enemy's attack. Can block an ally being attacked as long as the attacker is in range. I don't understand that one. Thrill of victory when killing a non-minion enemy? Question mark. You may spend one Fury die to heal. Induce rage. That sounds cool. Attack an enemy for free, but they attack you back right before. I mean, those are cool homebrew ideas. I don't think we need those at this point in development. Large dice pool ideas. Set a max number of dice. And I think we are going to leave the skill points things as homebrew. I'll check it off just for the sake of me knowing that I've considered it for the book. But we are leaving all of the things in there. Large dice pool ideas. Set a max number of dice. Attacks that use more dice get multiplied. I think we just eliminated rolling more than like 3 or 4 dice at a time, just in general. Contributors already got that. Changelog could more be added to the class breakdown page of the heroes and core rules, and dice roll in combat. I think we added much of this already. Suggested backgrounds, like any class can have any background. Suggested weapons, we have that. Classes work well with. Yeah, I think any of them could work with any. Like you could have a team of like 5 bards if you wanted to. Key stats, we already have that. Well, we don't. Yeah, I don't know. I think like the art and the description should give you enough enough of the flavor of these kinds of things. Okay. Yeah, the Songweaver is a bard. It's just we call him a Songweaver. Like the cheat is a rogue or a scoundrel or whatever. It's still the thing. Yeah, so let me actually show you. So I'm looking. So some things that I've been looking at. Like I really like this Mothership logo. This kind of like badge that you could put on things. And Draw Steel has like a powered by Draw Steel type of thing. So I'm thinking about something like that. Powered by Nimble. This is some reference art that I've been putting together for some of my artists. So we've got some reference for like a Scion class. I love this art up here. Like this is really cool. It's really hard to find good art for like a Scion type of class. Like this art is like that is so cool. Like he doesn't have like his hands on fire. He's not like casting lightning bolts. It's just like his brains, you know, that's super duper cool. And like some of these are cool. That's kind of like psionic-y. So we got some of those. Like in case we want to do some Scion stuff later, here's like something for an artificer. It maybe he'd be called like an inventor or technician or tinkerer, maybe machinist, like some different cool ideas. I like a lot of these. So I've already got some sketches on this. He's definitely going to be a dwarf with a cool beard. He might have like a hand cannon or like a flying pack or something. Like who knows what he's going to have. Like just different just covers, like cool. Like this is like if D&D's good at anything, they're good at paying artists a bunch of money to make some rad art. So just I really like the reference of a lot of these art pieces. I want to have like a better puppy. Like I love this art from Magic the Gathering. Like wouldn't you want that little boy to be your companion? Like yes, absolutely. And then this is art for like maybe a witch type of class if we ever do that in the future, like different cool witchy things. I love the pointed hat that is like super iconic. So those are some other things I've been cooking on. I think I'm gonna swap out this sort of like semi-silly art with the other art for the kobold. I think that might just be a little bit too silly. Um, I don't know what you guys are talking about. But yeah, we added a bunch of other stuff throughout, but most of the work this past week has been in the adventures, getting them tightened up, and they're really feeling really good. They're really feeling lots of fun. Okay, guys, I think I'm gonna end it there. We've been streaming for like 3 hours. Why is this open? Oh, I didn't put these guys back. Yeah, so we've been streaming for about 3 hours. I'm gonna keep working on some of the other things. Okay, I'm gonna keep working on some of these other things, but if everything goes smoothly, then this time next week we're gonna be done. We're gonna be done. And Angela, if you want to let me know when you're done with the core rules editing, then we can if you're willing, we can move on to the GM guide. Okay, all right. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out.